and super fast 5G, so you can post them for all to see. Your friends, your family, your ex. Free phone! Free phone!
Okay, I'll switch.
Welcome to Cricket Nation.
Cricket 5G is not available everywhere. Must bring your number to Cricket on a $60 a month voice plan. First month service charge and tax to its sale. Fees, terms, and other restrictions apply. See cricketwireless.com for details.
The Body Armor State Games are coming to Greensboro this June. Registration is open to athletes of all ages and skill levels in 20 different sports. The Body Armor State Games feature 11,000 athletes and 600 teams. Don't miss out on North Carolina's largest sports festival of the year. Visit bodyarmorstategames.org today. The Body Armor State Games are proud to partner with Truist, Lowe's Foods, and Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina.
If you are among the 6 million Americans living with Alzheimer's or care for someone with Alzheimer's or dementia, there is free help and support available 24/7. Visit alz.org or call 800-272-3900.
This is the story of the one. As a quality technician in a food processing center, she knows that making the right call is the best way to avoid a recall. That's why she trusts Grainger's world-class supply chain to deliver the high-quality supplies she needs to help keep her production line, her equipment, and her customers happy and healthy. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to ritchielaw.com.
That's ritchielaw.com.
They score! WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on the radio, Instagram, TikTok, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
I'm WRAL meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner. We have a wind advisory in effect until 7 p.m. We'll see gusts up to 40 miles per hour, but we're also seeing a line of severe storms crossing the area. Those severe storms could produce straight-line winds that knock down trees and cause power outages. Isolated tornadoes are possible as well. We clear out before the evening commute. We'll see a low tonight of 43. Tomorrow, quiet, partly cloudy, and cooler with a high of 55.
Weather update brought to you by Newcomb and Company, where your comfort is their business. Visit newcombandcompany.com. 3 o'clock check of your money. Dow Jones is up 528 points to 43,049. Market update brought to you by Lufthansa. Lufthansa is excited to take off from Raleigh Durham International Airport, connecting you to destinations like Germany, Italy, India, and beyond. Say yes to incredible journeys. Book today at Lufthansa.com.
Transition triple. R.J. Davis strips the net for three. Is Red Steiner, oh my goodness, erased at the rim by Trimble. Just spiked the layup attempt. Jackson now, crossover. Mile-long three. Holy smoke! Lubin to Trimble. He's going to hammer it home. Here comes Carolina on the break. It's going to be Trimble, gracious, for the highlight. Throws it down for two more. Ian Jackson. Tough pass goes to Powell. Left sideline three. Are you kidding me?
The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Hump Day. I'm Tim Donnelly, Dennis Cox producing the show. Those highlights featuring Jones Angel, Tar Heel Sports Network, of a night that was mostly highlights for the UNC Tar Heels. As somebody that in previous jobs had to cut quite a few highlights, there was always fun when the game was like, I don't have to scroll around and look for the highlights. I'm just going to hit play, record, and about 10 plays later, I'm about 10 highlights.
It's like, how do I cut it down to so few? That's the problem. It's like a good problem to have.
It is absolutely a good problem to have. UNC, I'm giving a lot of credit right now. Hubert Davis, I'm giving a lot of credit right now. R.J. Davis, I'm giving a lot of credit right now. The young guys, I'm giving a lot of credit right now. Since February 15th, which is a little under 3 weeks ago, UNC has passed every test presented to them with flying colors, and yes, that includes last night's destruction of Virginia Tech. It was a classic trap game. We talked about it yesterday. The Duke regular season finale was sitting right there begging you to overlook Virginia Tech and look towards Duke. They won 91-59. 32 points. They lit up Virginia Tech on the road.
Didn't even feel that close.
And Well, it was a slow start for UNC, and then once they woke up, it was that's all she wrote pretty darn early.
Yeah, 15-1 run to close out the first half.
And now here's the question. I think this is an appropriate way to put it for UNC. They are without a doubt peaking at the right time. Every coach says you want to peak going into March, right? That's everything. And don't judge me by how we are in November. Judge me by how we are in March. And there's zero doubt in my mind UNC is playing their best basketball of the entire season right now. The question still remains, is their best basketball good enough? Right? They're peaking right now. Is their peak high enough? And did the lulls, did the valleys that they've dealt with put them too far down too far behind the eight ball that it's too difficult to come back from? My guy Jalen Withers didn't light it up. Let's not get carried away. Had a solid day, but did not light it up. Did not shoot 50% or better from three for the first time in over a month. But the threat was there. He took 5 attempts. That's good, and everyone else benefited. Drake Powell got open shots from three, knocked him down, 3 of 4. Then Allen Lubin had a double-double. Ian Jackson, Seth Trimble lit it up from the bench. They didn't let up at all. They lit it up from the bench. Hubert Davis, again, as I mentioned, give him a lot of credit for keeping this team locked in, not packing it in like many teams would have during their lulls. Talked about generating quality looks at the basket, specifically from three.
I told the guys this is the reason why I think we're shooting well is because we're generating good threes. Yeah, we're working offensively inside and out. And so we're attacking the paint, trying to dominate points in the paint through post-penetration, offensive rebounds. And when you do that, that leads to good threes, open threes. And I just have always felt like if we could generate good threes, we'll make them. And we made a lot of them tonight.
We've talked about the emergence of the big guys. Right there, what he talked about, quality of three, selection of shots. An underrated part of their upturn is not a being less dependent on R.J. Davis, but it's a different usage for R.J. Davis. R.J. Davis has been more of a true point guard at times, specifically when they take Elliot Cadeau off the floor, and Cadeau was off the floor for some of the biggest runs for UNC last night, the momentum changers for UNC last night. When they go big, which essentially means when they can put Drake Powell at 3, have two kind of, quote-unquote big guys at the 4 and the 5, then you have R.J. Davis and either, Ian Jackson or Seth Trimble or Elliot Cadeau. When they do that, R.J. Davis has been more of a pure point guard, and I like that for him. And it took them a while to start experimenting with that. Rightfully so, maybe, right? R.J. Davis was the Jerry West Award winner last year. That goes to the best shooting guard in the country. And coaches have probably been accused of overthinking it when you go, he won the award for best in the country at his position, and you want to start by making him change positions? Well, kind of, maybe, a little bit. But when they do that, I think there's a little bit less pressure on RJ to create his own shot. Because remember, at the beginning of the year, when R.J. Davis's three-point shooting percentage was well below what it was the previous season, and we were looking for reasons why, the best example we could come up with, and we talked to players in the ACC from last year, we asked around, was, well, Armando Bacot, even when he wasn't producing at a high level last year, was always the number one priority on the defensive scouting report. When you played against UNC, your goal was stop Armando Bacot first, which gave R.J. Davis better looks, better percentage shots. And you take Armando Bacot away, those shots, I don't know how much worse they were. Maybe, a hand that would have been contesting from 5 feet away is now 3.5 feet away. Like, I don't know exactly how much it was, but whatever it was affecting R.J. Davis. Take him off of that creator role, put him into a playmaker role. He can still find his shots if they're there, right? Don't turn down a good look. But when that happens, it is a different beast for UNC. And that has been something that has developed alongside the better play of the big guys. As Withers, Washington, as Van Allen Lubin, as Drake Powell have demanded more minutes and more size on the floor, by default, that means R.J. Davis is playing a little bit of a different role, and it's benefited everybody.
And other teams know when the ball's in his hands, you obviously have to guard him because he can create his own shot.
True.
Ian Jackson benefits from this as well. Ian Jackson's getting a ton of great looks yesterday.
And he was knocking down the hard looks as well.
Yes. Catch and shoot. He's phenomenal.
And again, I don't want to make this a knock on Elliot Cadeau. Cadeau has gotten the Rondo treatment a few times where he has the ball in the wing and they're, whoever's his main defender is, feet in the paint, just going like, shoot it. Coach has told me it's a good defensive possession if you launch. Shoot it. You take Cadeau off, you put Trimble or Ian Jackson in, you have Drake Powell, you have Withers, you have Van Allen Lubin. Really everybody on that lineup, other than maybe Lubin, is a pretty good knockdown shooter. That's modern basketball. You need that spacing. And on top of that, and that this is where you transition quickly, you're going to need size on the court against Duke. Right? You're going to need to be comfortable definitely with one, if not zero guys like 6'1", 6'2", and under because Duke has that kind of length. And if you look towards their next game, which is the regular season finale at home for the Tar Heels against Duke, that one is I mean, you know what it is. You win, there's a good chance you make the NCAA tournament. You lose, goodness, does that lessen your chances? And Duke is not some pushover. They might be the number one team in the country the next time the rankings are updated because Auburn lost last night. So you go into that game, rivalry, you go into that game with all the knowledge, all the history. You go in to that game with an understanding that if you win, your season is different. And if you need size to win that game, put size in the game. The last 6 games you've proven you can trust those guys. I want to see Withers. I want to see Powell. I want to see them playing the 4 and the 5, or sorry, the 4 and the 3 with Van Allen Lubin, even though he's a little undersized, playing more of that traditional 5. Do that. Get Ian Jackson on the floor more. Get Trimble on the floor more. I think that's your best chance to really change your season in this one.
Yeah, starting 4 guards like they did last time in Cameron, that ain't going to work.
And
because it didn't last time.
I was going to say, if you need evidence of that one, I can direct you to some YouTube videos.
Yeah, I can show you some highlights.
Yeah, there's quite a few of those. But credit to UNC. We're going to learn a lot about them, not just in the Duke game, but in the ACC tournament. They're 2 kind of golden arrows to shoot their way to the NCAA tournament. We're going to learn a lot about them, but one thing you can't say about this team is that they rolled over. One thing you can't say about this team is that they checked out when the going got tough. Right, they got going, and you got to respect that about a competitive team like the UNC Tar Heels. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. ACC tournament, UNC Tar Heels, as we were talking about. How much longer will we talk about UNC in the ACC tournament? 5 years from now, could it be the SEC tournament for the Tar Heels? Maybe not as crazy as you think. We'll dive into the future of the ACC following the settling of the lawsuit between Clemson, Florida State, and the ACC earlier this week with one of the reporters that has been breaking the news. Andrea Adelson, ACC reporter for ESPN, joins us on the Heister Automotive Group hotline coming up. Don't go anywhere.
Listen for the... Check in for the
beautiful back cut and a 2-hand jam.
Don't miss the
race to the other end. Get ready for the show.
What was that?
A reverse pull-up. My goodness. Hubbard got hit, and he made the shot.
You're home for the Final Four from San Antonio.
Cooper got it to rattle home.
99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
From Carolina winters to our very sunny summers, as America's exterior remodeler, Window World is here to keep families across the Triangle comfortable year-round. If you need new windows, siding, doors, and more, look no further than your locally owned Window World, the Triangle's most trusted and America's largest exterior remodeler. A proud sponsor of the Canes, Window World will get your home looking great on the outside while saving on energy costs inside. Get in touch with them today and request a free quote. Window World of Raleigh and Fayetteville. Improving homes, changing lives.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-838-6161. That's 800-838-6161. 800 1-800-838-6161.
It's bow time.
Finally, lunchtime. I'm starving.
What's that?
This is the Bojangler from Bojangles.
Ooh, with the same bold flavor as their chicken?
The same.
And fries.
The same.
Huh. Well, I've got a PB&J.
Yeah, that's not the same.
A crispy fish fillet dusted in Bo's famous seasoning. With cheese and tartar sauce on a fluffy bun, the Bojangler's back. Hook one while you can. It's bow time.
There's no time like Bojangler time. Time to stop whatever you're doing and head over to Bojangles to try the Bojangler Fish Fillet Sandwich. You heard right, the Bojangler Fish Fillet Sandwich. A perfectly seasoned, light, flaky, wild-caught Alaskan pollock fish fillet sandwich. For limited time at participating Bojangles. Make it a combo and add Bojangles seasoned fries and legendary iced tea. Hungry for Bojangles but in the mood for something different? Then it's Bojangler time.
Tim Donnelly here for Zero Res. Now, as many of you know, my wife just had our second child, little baby girl, and parents say it with me. Kids are messy. We have a toddler, we have a newborn. There's dirt, there's crumbs, there's everything everywhere. And that means spring cleaning can't come here soon enough. So why wait? Beat the spring cleaning rush with big savings and priority booking by calling our cleaning heroes at Zero Res. The number is 919-995-0000, or you can go online at ZeroResRaleigh.com. Just say you want the 99.9 The Fan special. They'll know what that means. It's 3 rooms of carpets, cleaned, starting at $119, plus 20% off air duct cleaning as well. All you have to do is visit ZeroResRaleigh.com or call 919-995-0000 and ask for the 99.9 The Fan special. Spell it backward or forward, it spells the same, Zero Res.
50 yards! He takes off running up the middle. First down. Inside the 35. He's going to go. Cade Klubnik. Touchdown Clemson. 50 yards.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. The story of the last few days in college sports has been the agreement, the settling of lawsuits between Florida State, Clemson, and on the other side, the ACC, and on the precipice, on the cutting edge of all of that reporting, Andrea Adelson, ACC reporter for ESPN. You can follow her on Twitter or X at Adelson ESPN. She is now joining us on the Heister Automotive Group hotline. Andrea, thank you for taking the time. I think it's obvious when at least from my understanding of it all, why Clemson and Florida State would agree to settle the lawsuits with all of these new structures. Why did the ACC as a conference agree to lower the exit fees and agree to disproportionate payouts and everything else in this agreement? Did they get something back in return?
Well, they got stability for the conference in the near term anyway. And so when you think about what's happened over the last 24 months, this is a conference that, quite frankly, has been in turmoil with the lawsuits that Florida State and Clemson filed against the conference and this cloud hanging over the league, not knowing whether they were going to bolt or what was going to happen in court and whether they'd be able to keep everyone together, for the next year. And so I think the members that voted for this, and remember, the 18 schools had a vote for this. It wasn't Jim Phillips unilaterally deciding. All the member schools had a say and had a vote. And that vote was held yesterday. I think for them, this notion that, we're going to lower the exit fee, but it lowers for everybody, right? Not just Florida State and Clemson. There are other schools in the conference that maybe didn't file lawsuits, but certainly were pondering what that exit fee should look like and what the future may look like at some point down the line that are going to benefit from this. A lot of schools that are going to benefit from a viewership standpoint in terms of getting more money with the new revenue distribution model. But when it comes to the exit fee, I think there was this sense among the schools in the league that they wanted the lawsuits to come to an end. They didn't want that to be playing out in court over the next years and years, particularly without any certainty about how it was all going to play out. I mean, what if you lose in court, right? So this is a way to kind of settle all that, end it, bring about some stability. And quite frankly, we don't know what the landscape is going to look like once this exit fee lowers in 2030. Nobody has any idea. And so if you're the schools that voted for this, you could maybe stand to benefit from it, or there may be an entirely new model altogether for college football or for collegiate athletics that hasn't even begun to be fathomed because of all the changes that we have seen over the last year, 2 years, 5 years. So in all, I think the league and the member schools felt like this is a win for them too, because now people will stop asking, at least in the short term, is the ACC going to survive this? Right now, over the next 5 years, it appears anyway that this conference is going to survive it with Florida State and Clemson on board.
Andrea Adelson, ACC reporter for ESPN, connecting on the Heister Automotive Group hotline. If the near-term stability is there, do you get the feeling, or is there any indication that maybe 2030 becomes the planned exit date for some of these key schools, and like that just gives them 4 or 5 years to plan their escape route?
I don't know. I don't think anybody can say for certain what 2030 is going to look like. We don't know what the television market is going to look like when it comes to the valuation of the Big Ten and their new contract. The Big 12 contract is going to be up, and so is the college football playoff contract. So nobody knows what that's going to look like. That's number one. Number two, nobody really knows what the collegiate landscape is going to look like, particularly now that football is moving more toward a semi-pro NFL-style model. When you look at revenue share that's coming, when you look at this idea that remains that athletes should be employees, when you think about Congress potentially getting involved into what this is going to look like, we don't know if college football is even going to remain under the auspices of the conferences that they're now. What if there's a football breaks away and there's a super league only for football? These are all things that need to be thought about and considered. I don't necessarily know that realignment, the way that we've seen it, that has forced a lot of these changes, is going to look exactly the same in 2030. I don't know how Florida State's going to look in 2030. I don't know how Clemson's going to look in 2030, right? I mean, we're all sitting here projecting out based on what has happened in the past with realignment and thinking, oh, it's just going to be the same exact thing. But in the past with realignment, we haven't had revenue share. We haven't had some of these provisions that the NCAA held so strongly to stripped away and given more power to the athletes. So I think it's going to look different. I really do. And so that's why I say I don't know. I mean, I talked to people at Florida State who have said to me, we could be in the ACC forever. We don't know. And that's the thing. It's too early to sit here and say, well, absolutely, the league is going to break apart in 2030. How does anybody even know that? Nobody does, because we don't even know what the landscape is going to look like.
Is there any concern that it makes it too difficult or nearly impossible for maybe the have-nots to climb the ACC and get in the mix? Because, I mean, there's already so many advantages for schools, the ones we've mentioned, the Florida States, the Clemsons, UNCs, Miamis. Now that you could get a lesser payout to some of these more have-not schools, are they ever going to have a chance to compete for like a football conference championship with so many disadvantages?
Well, I mean, you could say that Florida State, North Carolina, Miami, and Clemson have already had advantages in that they've funded their football programs completely differently than some other programs. And yet Wake Forest, as recently as a few years ago, played for an ACC championship, right? So PITT has won an ACC championship, maybe not funded the same way as Florida State or Clemson. Look at SMU coming in without any money at all and playing for an ACC championship. So I think what this does is it incentivizes athletic departments and programs to invest even more in football, because if you do that, you can get a greater return on your investment, not just potentially with better games and better time slots, therefore better viewership, which will help you with that revenue distribution change. But the success initiatives are huge, right? If you are good in football, men's and women's basketball, and you've invested in those, and you can be good and have that success, well, you get more money there. So I'll give you SMU as another example. They come in here, they take $0 from the ACC, and yet they're going to make more from the success initiatives than Florida State will from a football perspective because they won and they made the playoff, right? So I still think that, yes, will it be harder? Sure. Obviously, it's going to be harder if you're not getting that equal payout from the television perspective that you've always gotten, or the equal payout that you've always gotten up until this past year. Yes, that'll make things harder. And yes, you're going to have to find different ways to fundraise to try and make up for some of that. But the word that I have heard used, not just from Florida State and Clemson, but from others in the entire ACC, and the ACC itself, is it's incentivizing schools now to be able to invest so they can make more money on the back end of it. Because let's say you're number one in viewership, right? With Georgia Tech. Would Georgia Tech fit in a different category than Florida State, Clemson, and Miami from a funding perspective? Well, yeah, historically, yes. But Georgia Tech was the number one rated school in the ACC last year. And, yeah, they had some favorable time slots playing Florida State in week 0 and Georgia on a Friday night. But they took advantage of that by playing well in both of those games. So I think there's ways that you can do it, but it is harder. I think there are ways, though.
Andrea Adelson, ACC reporter for ESPN. Andrea, before we let you go, we're here in the Triangle in North Carolina, where college basketball means a ton here. You brought up men's and women's basketball. How much does basketball matter in the future of the ACC, even if we acknowledge football is king? Yeah,
it matters because you can't have 3 teams make the tournament. I mean, you just can't if you're the ACC, right? I mean, what would you have said if I told you 5 years ago the ACC was only going to get 3 teams in the NCAA tournament? You'd have been like, did the league fall apart?
Exactly. I probably would have assumed there was realignment and all the teams I expected in the ACC weren't there.
Exactly. So there's no question men's basketball has to be fixed. Now, obviously, there are some extenuating circumstances here, right? I mean, coach turnover, Hall of Fame coach turnover. That's big. But I also think, there's been so much of an emphasis on investment in football, right? That maybe some of that money went to football, maybe not as much as traditionally went to men's basketball. Well, now schools have to figure out how to fix that, right? Because men's basketball success, women's basketball success, that's included in the success initiative. And men's basketball viewership is also included in the new revenue distribution with the brand initiative, right? So you have to figure out ways to be able to get that fixed. I mean, this is still a league that should care about men's basketball, even though all the money is coming from football. So, yes, I think it's hugely important moving forward that the ACC figures out a way to get this fixed because, once again, you've already, ceded ground to the SEC and the Big Ten in football. You've kind of accepted that. It's hard to accept that in men's basketball for a tradition-heavy conference in men's basketball. So I do think it's really important, even though football is the revenue generator.
Andrea, I appreciate you for taking the time. The reporting that you and your colleague David Hale have done at ESPN, it's where I've gotten all my information on this story. So I appreciate you for jumping on the show, and hopefully we're able to do it again soon.
Well, thanks for the kind words, and I appreciate you having me on to talk about it.
Once again, that is Andrea Adelson, ACC reporter for ESPN. Again, her Twitter handle, Adelson, ESPN. Look up the articles. Like I said, the work she and David Hale have done covering this particular story and all the stories that they cover, but we're talking about this one right now. Pretty top-notch.
By the way, if you missed any of that conversation, you want to go back and listen to it, we'll probably have it in overdrive at 6 o'clock, but also go on our YouTube page. Also, wherever you subscribe to get your podcast, we'll have that up here soon.
And best news for everybody here in the Triangle, basketball does matter.
Let's go.
It should, and it does.
Let's go.
Which actually, she said, in the performance rewards, NC State's getting a bunch, I guess.
Yeah.
The NC State women's basketball team coming through
That's right.
When the other two did not. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan, and that obviously means Duke men's basketball getting a decent payout. There's multiple ways to win, right? It's like a scratcher. Not just this, multiple ways to win when it comes to the performance payouts in the ACC. Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Before we move on, we have the Dean's List to get to, 2 minutes of gold, so much. Here's Dennis Cox.
Dennis Cox here for my friends over at Law Tigers. Speaking of chances to win, speaking of ways to win, go to caniacsbike.com. to enter for your chance to win this custom Caniacs motorcycle that's being put together by Law Tigers, Tobacco Road Harley-Davidson, Shiny Side Paint, and your Carolina Hurricanes. That's right. A custom Caniacs motorcycle can be yours. You got to enter to win, though. Go to caniacsbike.com. And the key word I threw in there, custom. By the way, this is the 4th year that Law Tigers and the Canes have all teamed up together to give a motorcycle away. But this is the first time ever they're actually doing a custom build. Custom built by Tobacco Road Harley-Davidson right here in Raleigh. Which, by the way, the bike, I actually found this out. The motorcycle that I own was actually originally designed at Tobacco Road Harley-Davidson here in Raleigh, which is very exciting for me to know. Which also should be exciting for you because you know they're going to build something of good quality for you. You'll see pictures of the bike, again, caniacsbike.com. It's going to be given away on the ice at the last home game of the year. So your deadline to enter is April 6th, but folks, that'll be here before you know it. Again, go to caniacsbike.com. Law Tigers is a network of independent law firms who are members of the American Association of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. Law Tigers is not a law firm.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. As we mentioned, we have the Dean's List coming up. I won't tell you how, but I will tell you one name on the Dean's List. Dabo Swinney, maybe the most unlikely Dean's List member of all time, coming up next.
The Offspring. Supercharged worldwide in 25. One unforgettable summer night. The Offspring, live in Raleigh. With special guests, Jimmy Eat World and Newfound Glory. Playing Coastal Credit Union Music Park, Raleigh, July 16th. Get tickets this Friday at 10 a.m. at livenation.com. 3 great bands. One incredible show. Part of the Mattress Warehouse Concert Series.
Dear McDonald's, your breakfast menu? Fire. 10s across the board. I could be happy with anything, even though I ordered the same thing every time. Thanks for not judging me. I'll try something new next time. Maybe.
Get your faves for less. Buy a sausage McMuffin with egg for $2.50 at any size Sprite for $1.49. Price and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin. $5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code SALE to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code SALE for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code SALE for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
What could you do with an extra $75,000 right now, or even a couple $100,000? If you own a home, you can get that money in less than a week with Loan Pronto. Hey, it's Dennis Cox. Loan Pronto is the leader in quickly converting your home equity into cold, hard cash. You can pay off all your credit cards or start that home remodel. Loan Pronto has several easy options to let you access the cash from your home. There's virtually no paperwork, no cumbersome process, no junk fees, and often no appraisal. Listen, the average homeowner now has over $300,000 in equity. That's your money. Use it. One client got $150,000 out and paid off all their credit cards, 2 car loans, and a personal loan, cutting their monthly expenses by $1,500. You can get approved in as little as 1 day. So act now with no hard credit pull up front. LoanPronto.com, 919-381-1760. Get the money you need for anything. 919-381-1760, LoanPronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
O'Reilly. Check engine light on? Take the guesswork out of your check engine light with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free and provides a report with solutions based on over 650 million vehicle scans verified by ASE certified master technicians. And if you need help, we can recommend a shop for you. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Is Rex-Steiner, oh my goodness, erased at the rim by Trimble. Just spiked the layup attempt. Here comes Carolina the other way. Trimble trying to do it on the other side, hangs and finishes.
This is The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. Just talked with Andrea Adelson of ESPN. If you missed any of that conversation, it will be on our YouTube shortly, and we will also likely replay it in the 6 o'clock hour. She gave all the nuts and bolts, all the information you need to completely understand the agreement between Clemson, Florida State, and the ACC that eliminated the lawsuits, and how it all impacts the future of the ACC. So excited to have Andrea Adelson on the show just a few minutes ago. We are also excited that Clinton Yates, host of Clinton and Friends on ESPN Radio everywhere, including this one, will be joining us in just a little bit. We have about 10 minutes till Clinton joins us. So be sure to check that out. You can follow him on Twitter at Clinton Yates. In the meantime, let's go ahead and hit a little Dean's List. Class in session. Now, I teased it before the break, so I'll lead off with this one. Maybe the most unlikely Dean's List member of all time. This is where we highlight people that deserve a little bit of extra praise from the college sports world.
Yeah, I'm a little confused here.
Dabo Swinney.
Yeah.
On3 has the article out there. Shout out to them for their reporting. I have a quote here from Dabo Swinney involving Clemson's spring game. We're going to have a spring game. Whether you have a spring game or not, it's going to be tampering. Ain't nobody going to look at the spring game and go, oh yeah, boy. End quote.
What a great line.
That is a direct response to so many of his peers, so many other college football teams, ACC football teams, making their entire spring practice not open to the public and canceling spring games because they think if a player has a really good spring game, they're going to be poached out of the portal through tampering. And I'm a fan of common sense. And usually, very rarely do I look at Dabo Swinney and go, there's a guy with all the common sense in the world. But there's a lot of overthinking going on in college football, and Dabo just said it out loud. It's not somebody watching going like, what did he have? He had 6 catches in the spring game. Quick, round up our NIL resources. Make an offer.
Who do we know to contact him?
In an intra-squad scrimmage for fan appreciation, he had 2 touchdowns?
What?
Let's go ahead and back up the Brinks truck. No. It's about thanking the fans. It's giving them a cheaper option to see the team. It's about the spring game. It's fun. They're going to have a spring game at Clemson, and I appreciate that, so he gets on the Dean's List.
Duke is having one too, by the way.
Good on you, Manny Diaz.
They already announced their date and everything. Their blue-white scrimmage.
All he needs is a "oh shucks" quote, and he could have been on the Dean's List. I just love, ain't nobody going to look at the spring game and go, oh yeah, boy. Shout out to Manny Diaz and Duke. Shout out to everyone having a spring game.
Take that, Matt Rule.
He's the one that started it. And
I know.
Can't get away from that guy, can we?
Forever with me.
All right, let's get to do you have a Dean's List you want to throw on there?
I do, actually.
Right,
Seth Trimble. Thought he was great last night. Seth Trimble also not only go along with 17 points yesterday, 3 steals, and also a massive block shot.
That's the what how they have the Bobby Orr hat trick? That's like the Seth Trimble hat trick.
You mean the Gordie Howe hat trick?
Yeah, what did I say, Bobby Orr?
Yeah, Bobby Orr.
All those old guys.
That's fine.
Hockey fans, their steam coming out of their ears right now. Bobby Hull, I don't know. Anyone with a 1-syllable last name. What was I saying? The Seth Trimble hat trick is 3 steals, a block, and probably a rebound over a guy 9 inches taller than him,
and 2 massive dunks.
Yeah, exactly. He's not a traditional impact the game in all ways player, but he impacts the game in a bunch of different ways. I have one of his teammates, though. Similarly, right? Seth Trimble had a big game off the bench on the perimeter for UNC last night against Virginia Tech. Going with the other guy that had a big game off the bench for UNC in the win against Virginia Tech last night. I'm going to Ian Jackson. Part of the reason I love Ian Jackson's season is his role has fluctuated. He went on, a 6 or 7 game streak where he scored 20 in every game. He was the leading scorer, main character for the North Carolina Tar Heels. Now he's coming off the bench And he stayed locked in. He stayed effective. He is a 5 star, by the way. Like top 10 recruit in the country level player. And now he's coming off the bench and being effective. 19 points, 6 of 10 from the field, 5 of 8 from 3, hit some tough shots. I'm learning through my Dean's List selections that I just love guys that control what they can control. If their situation changes, they're like, cool, I'm going to go for it anyway and keep playing good ball. I also want to give a shout out, last Dean's List for me here for the day. Breon Pass, NC State basketball. Tonight, NC State's playing Pitt. It is senior day. Breon Pass is just the second player under Kevin Keats as head coach to exhaust 4 years of eligibility.
Wow.
He's the second one.
Wow.
Everybody else either has transferred in or transferred out before exhausting 4 years of eligibility. Under Kevin Keats, who's now been there. It's not like, he's only been there 2 years. He's been there the better part of a decade.
He's had a couple guys leave early, go pro, like Tre'Quavion Smith.
Yep.
A couple others.
Leave to go pro, leave to go to another school, whatever it is. Or they didn't start at State, they showed up. If you are somebody who thinks the transfer portal is everything that is wrong in college sports and nobody sticks around to compete, you better praise the heck out of Breon Pass, especially with his role, because he's never really been the main character. But he's stuck around. He's fought for his opportunities. I hope he gets a very, very big applause tonight at senior night. So make it happen, Wolfpack Nation. That's it for the Dean's List for me, by the way. Credit to all of our honorees. Class dismissed. Again, we have Clinton Yates, ESPN personality, joining the show in about 5 minutes. But before we get there, the Canes beat Detroit last night, 2-1. Kind of an old school, very grindy out Canes win. Didn't get everything we were hoping for, but the win was the most important. For more of a breakdown, here's 2 minutes of gold with our very own Adam Gold.
Hey, it's Adam Gold, and I've got 2 minutes for 2 points and 2 goals that came about 2 minutes apart as the Hurricanes beat the Detroit Red Wings 2-1. And all of this is brought to you by Parkway Sleep Health Centers. Discover why so many trust Parkway Sleep Health Centers for better sleep. And we're going to talk about sleep in a minute. But first, Hurricanes put a defensive clinic on in Detroit. Needed all of the first period to get it going, but then Jalen Chatfield digs the puck out off the left half wall, feeds Jordan Martinook in front, and this started the 2.5-minute sequence that really was the difference in the game.
Chatfield will knock this down. Now it's defenseman on defenseman here, and Chatfield will come up with a better of the play, centering it out front to the back, and they score! Jordan Martinook with a great assist from Jalen Chatfield, and Martinook has put Carolina up 1-0. Now Stahl with a stuff chance on the steal and scores! Oh, the captain takes advantage of a misplay from Alex Lyon, and it's 2-0 Carolina.
Jordan Stahl's 12th goal of the season. Was it a gift? Sure. Will we take it? I ain't complaining. And you know what? Sometimes 2 goals is enough, especially when you have the wizard himself, Jacob Slavin, on the back end. I don't know how many times Jacob Slavin used his stick to completely eliminate scoring opportunities. He had 2 knockaways on a 3-on-2 opportunity for the Red Wings on the same 3-on-2. He knocked the puck away once and then stole it and went the other way another time. But this one right here in a 2-1 game with one of the more dangerous Red Wings on the ice, Alex DeBrincat, who has had Carolina's number in his career. And Slavin says, nope, I got this.
Blake keeps it moving. Hall has that pass deflected away. Anticipation there by Patrick King. Looking it to DeBrincat, and DeBrincat has it knocked away by Jacob Slavin. If you need him, that's Jacob Slavin, everyone.
And when you've got Jacob Slavin, you can rock the baby to sleep. More sleep conversation, how about that? But the captains were good. Stahl and Martinook, both good. Slavin, otherworldly. Actually, he was just normal. Just Jacob Slavin. And Frederik Andersen, after Pyotr Kochetkov had to play about 10 great minutes in the win over Calgary, Andersen, especially in the first period and a few times in the second, really came up with it when he had to have it. Carolina got good goaltending performances from him tonight, and Kochetkov against Calgary on Sunday, and that's how you win a couple of games, by a 2-1 margin. So with the Blue Jackets losing in Tampa, the Hurricanes ended up getting a little bit further away from that wild card pack. You want to stay ahead of the Devils, but you really want to stay out of that wild card spot so you don't have to deal with the Capitals or, heaven forbid, Florida, because I think they're going to win the division on the other side. Visit ParkwaySleep.com and start your journey to a healthier night's sleep. Parkway Sleep Health Centers. Sound sleep, sound health, sound the Jacob Slavin alarm.
Thanks to Adam Gold. 2 minutes of gold there after the Canes beat Detroit 2-1 last night. You know what I love about all the Slavin talk? And this happens rarely, right? Jacob Slavin, for Canes fans, was the guy who you would say, like, you know who I don't think gets enough love? You know who I think is perpetually underrated? You know who no one talks about? Jacob Slavin. And then it seems like after the Four Nations Cup, everyone went, let's talk about him. And that just so rarely happens. Usually when there's an underrated great player, they just, no matter how much you fight and claw against all odds to make them appropriately rated, it never happens. So as you just heard right there, right, Slavin was making huge plays again last night. How many times is it, a good chance deflected away by Slavin. Intercepted by Slavin. Blocked by Slavin. It happens so often. So I'm happy he's, quote unquote, getting his flowers. Other than that, the Canes get the win, right? We're there. We're happy. We're excited. All of our wishes didn't come true. Okay. One of the funny things about the way this show has gone is when we open up those first goal scorer predictions, which we don't have today, there's no game. But when we do it, we do seem to kind of get into like writing a wish list, right? Just writing what we hope. We do it throughout the show. And you learn, all right, everybody wants Mikko Rantanen to score. That's a popular wish. Want the Jarvis Aho Rantanen line to produce big. That's a big wish. You want Orlov to maybe not make the big mistake that gives up a goal. All of these things we talked about. They want the power play to get going, right? So even kind of without a reason to think those will improve, we wish for it to happen. None of those happened last night. Canes won anyway, and we'll dive into that further throughout the show. It's always easier to be honest with yourself and your team after a win. And to be honest with you right now, I'm stoked because we have Clinton Yates, host of Clinton and Friends, weekdays 10 to noon, leading into this show right here on 99.9 The Fan, but on a whole bunch of ESPN affiliates across the country. You can catch Clinton and Friends. Follow him on Twitter, @Clinton Yates. Joining us on the Heaster Automotive Group hotline, that is, Clinton Yates. Clinton, appreciate you for taking the time. It is a time of mourning in some ways. So as somebody on the inside that's been a participant, I'm going to ask you, can you give us like a eulogy of sorts for Around the Horn, the television show that has helped so many of us get through the late afternoon over the past 25 years?
Yeah, I certainly can. I mean, my first introduction to the show was not as a panelist, and it was not just as a viewer. Remember, Max Kellerman used to host that show for the first couple of years, and I am from D.C., where the show was taped for many, many years, and I had the gumption to go down to Tony Kornheiser's radio studio. He taped it at ESPN Zone at the time, and I said, hey, man, I want to be like you. What can I do? And I had all these papers from when I was at college. I was in college at the time, and he said, why don't you just come to the studio with me? You got enough stones to come down here and ask me. Come see how it's made. Kept in touch with all those guys over the years, saw the process of how it was made, and I was fascinated. I was hooked. I ended up being back on the show as a professional later, which was just a dream come true. But over the years, what that show has meant to so many people is really, really hard to put into words. That's a weird thing to say for somebody that uses words for a living, but the diversity of voices, the idea that you could argue but still not necessarily dislike each other, the idea that some ideas were better than others without everybody being right or wrong, I think was a fascinating concept. It is technically a game show, and the fact that there was a gamification to arguing, I think, was something that was a really cool element for not just sports fans, but for the business of show in general. I can't put in the words how much it's meant to me. As I wrote on Twitter, it is the North Star of my professional experience, and I'm just grateful to have ever been a part of it.
Well said, well put, and exactly what I was looking for when I led you in that direction. So appreciate it.
No problem.
I did hear in there, though, that you said you have some DC roots. So transitioning to some off-season football stuff here, if you're building around Jaden Daniels with the Commanders, obviously they brought in Dabo Samuel. What's the rest of this offseason's priority to ignite even further the flames of one of the best young stars in the league?
I think sometimes a lot of teams and a lot of fan bases get a little too fired up about the ideas of transactions improving your team. There is sometimes the idea of just hunkering down and getting better at what you're already doing. I think that they were so far ahead of schedule last year in terms of Jaden Daniels' leadership, his execution, that you've got to find a way to make sure that can stay at the level that it's at, which is not easy from a sophomore in the league. You know what I'm saying? And so they've kept that coaching staff together, and there's so much more outside of just the football field that's happening with that organization, the Commanders, because they're coming back off of, an ownership nightmare that was a generational one. A generational one to the point that I now look at the team. I am not some diehard raving fan. I want the team to do well because they're from my hometown and a lot of my friends root for them. But what they're building, not just from a team standpoint, but from a franchise experience standpoint, is still as important as anything. Last year was a bonus as far as success is concerned. But the fact that the new owner, Josh Harris, actually has people who want to be in the building for any reason at all, never mind watching a winning football team, is a miracle on a lot of levels. I never thought I'd see it, and we're watching it every day now. It's actually pretty refreshing.
Clinton Yates, host of Clinton and Friends, connecting with us here on the Heister Automotive Group hotline. I saw one of your takes here, so I want to dive in a little further, because one position that Washington could improve, and actually so many across the league could, is the running back spot. It's a very exciting draft for the running backs, but Saquon just got paid with multiple years left on his contract to become even further, more properly compensated for his gigantic season this past year. What does that contract do for teams that are looking to maybe use free agency or use one of these off-season avenues to improve their running back spot?
Well, I think what it means is that a lot of people are going to look at their running backs a little differently than they used to and ask themselves the question, do we have a back that can at least mirror something of what the package they had for Saquon was? The problem is, though, is that Saquon is effectively one of one at this stage in the league. Sure, you might want somebody that can rip off the 60-yard home run a cutback run, like he did against the Commanders in the playoffs, but that doesn't mean you have that player. I do think there's something to be said, though, for the idea of compensating somebody for something they've already done as opposed to something you think they're going to do. I like that. And for a position that's effectively been legislated out of the game in a lot of people's minds, because quarterbacks can move so well, good for him. It's a grueling position. Remember, we were having talks and thinking about the idea that maybe running back should have a different CBA coming out of college because they have such a different sort of rotation through rosters the way other positions don't. So I think it's good for the game. I think it's good for the league also that somebody can look at a player in a position like that, a good guy too, and say, you know what, he's worth the money. We saw it right there on the field, even if he's the only one that can do it.
Clinton Yates connecting with us here on the Heister Automotive Group hotline. Clinton, to jump from kind of your old stomping grounds to some of your new out there in L.A., right? We're on the East Coast, so L.A. is almost, it's like a spectator sport for us. It gets crazy, and we just get to watch. How's Luka endearing himself to the L.A. community? That trade shook, the country, and now, we're not always watching as close as maybe we should be to the Lakers.
Well, they lost 3 games in a row when he got there, and then they haven't lost since. Pretty easy to tell right there what people like about him is that the team is flatly better. And it's interesting, too, because there was some question as to whether or not LeBron was going to be able to take a back seat, whether or not it was going to be too many egos in the building. Bron continues to be himself and continues to be a team player, and Luka is still getting in his rhythm, figuring it out. This team is good. This is not just some situation where there's a flash in the pan because they got a couple hot guys together for a couple days. This team was good before Luka got there. They were playing better defense than ever, and it's gotten better. I would not be stunned if they made a run, and not just saying that because of the Lakers. I'm saying that because of the constitution of the squad between Luka, between LeBron. Don't sleep on Austin Reeves either, who can really get after it. Never mind Dalton Connect, a guy you guys have probably seen a couple times down there in Tennessee in terms of that part of the country. That dude can play. So they've really got some pieces there, and it's really just a question of whether or not they're going to have, I think the fortitude to get past some of these younger teams that have a couple fewer more bodies, a little bit more depth, and a little bit more length. But they've certainly got the talent as far as I see it.
Now. And to switch sports, we did get a little excited because it seemed like something was going to happen with Matt Stafford, and then it turns out like nothing happened with Matt Stafford. Was that dance about anything other than just money and like, hey, I want all the attention on me?
No, it wasn't, but I do think we learned that the Rams are a big-time hubristic franchise. Like, the entire idea of even letting him get close to walking out of the door was very weird to me. I'm like, I'm sorry. You think there's some other quarterback you got that's going to be better than this guy? You think you're a system dude? That doesn't even make sense because, hello, the last quarterback you went through and went to the Super Bowl with in your system didn't win it. Like, that happened. We saw it. So to think that Matthew Stafford wasn't a big part of why they were successful to me was crazy. So I don't really know why they chose to go that route and sort of, let him walk out and then let him walk back in. But I do think the pressure has ramped up a lot for that team this year because they have to prove it. They gave him the money after saying, we might not need you. Man, if this doesn't work out, that's going to be bad news for not just Les Snead, the GM, but I also think for the head coach.
Let's talk head coach. Last question for you before we let you go. How long until Sean McVay is maybe sitting in Jimmy Johnson's seat in the media or John Madden's in a color commentator booth? Because, it just kind of makes sense if Stafford and he, that timeline might match up.
It's a good question, and I could see him being somebody also like a Dick Vermeil type who leaves the game and comes back. And not because I think it's got anything to do with Stafford. I just think that this guy might burn himself out. He is a grinder and a half. And when you see somebody like that who's got that photographic memory of every play, who seems to be on top of everything and uses so many words at a time, there's only so much a body can take with that kind of output, And so I could see a situation where if for whatever reason this Matthew Stafford situation doesn't work out, or it does, where he just says, you know what, kind of needs to take a chill, kind of needs to walk away and recharge the batteries. And I don't think anybody would be mad at him for that. He's an intense football guy. And I've known that ever since he went to college. I went to college at the same time he did at the same place. You know what I mean? And dude is about that life, and he's a gamer. So, yeah, I think that if anything pushes him away from the game, it'll be a health and family type of situation, a mental health one that is, not something that has to do with anything success on the field or not.
Clinton, good luck with the show. I know you're establishing new things and building that into what you want it to be. So good luck with that, and hopefully we're able to catch up again soon.
Appreciate that, gang. Talk soon.
Once again, Clinton Yates, host of Clinton and Friends, weekdays right here in 99.9 The Fan and so many other ESPN affiliates. From 10 to noon, leads right into this show, or leads right into, the Adam Gold Show, actually. But then it gets started with our local programming. So shout out to Clinton Yates, and follow him on Twitter at Clinton Yates, posting clips and takes and everything else going on there. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan, takes a look towards the Panthers offseason and maybe some expectations that not many had for the Panthers that are starting to trickle in. But before that, here's Dennis Cox with something for you.
Hey, folks, Dennis Cox here for ESPN Bet Sportsbook. College basketball, it's full go, and fans are ready to see which teams will prove they are ready to shine here in the month of March and who will be seen in San Antonio. You can get in on all the action from tip-off to the final whistle at ESPN Bet Sportsbook. Right now, new ESPN Bet Sportsbook customers can bet $10 to get $100 in bonus bets and unlock 30 days of ESPN Plus. Download the app and sign up with the promo code RADIO100 to get started today. Must be 21 plus. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
I was surprised by some reporting on expectations for the Panthers offseason, so I'm sure you will be as well. Stick around.
Hey, it's Adam Gold, and do you have a late-night craving for in-depth analysis on the Carolina Hurricanes and their latest game, their latest win, their pursuit of the Stanley Cup? Well, I can quench your thirst. I can feed that appetite on the Canes Corner podcast, the morning after edition, which drops the morning after every Hurricanes game. Get it wherever you get your podcast. Brought to you by the Aluminum Company of North Carolina.
Everyone deserves a fast and reliable connection, one that helps better their everyday through the things they value most: friends and family, education and career. A connection that opens pathways to opportunity and builds roads to a better future. At Spectrum, we're committed to delivering just that every single day. Because with the right connection, anything is possible. That's Life Unlimited. That's Spectrum.
At Wells Fargo, we know what got you into your business. Whether it's manufacturing, running a restaurant, or your business from home. What you didn't get into your business for was banking. But luckily, Wells Fargo offers business checking, payments, and lending all in one place, in your neighborhood and on our app, so you can focus on doing what you love. Wells Fargo, you're good at business, we're good at business banking. Learn more at wellsfargo.com/business. Terms apply. Wells Fargo Bank and a member FDIC.
It's bow time.
Finally, lunchtime. I'm starving.
What's that?
This is the Bojangler from Bojangles.
With the same bold flavor as their chicken?
The same.
And fries.
The same.
Huh. Well, I've got a PB&J.
Yeah, that's not the same.
A crispy fish fillet dusted in Bo's famous seasoning. With cheese and tartar sauce on a fluffy bun, the Bojangler's back. Hook one while you can. It's bow time.
There's no time like Bojangler time. Time to stop whatever you're doing and head over to Bojangles to try the Bojangler Fish Fillet Sandwich. You heard right, the Bojangler Fish Fillet Sandwich. A perfectly seasoned, light, flaky, wild-caught Alaskan pollock fish fillet sandwich. For limited time at participating Bojangles. Make it a combo and add Bojangles seasoned fries and legendary iced tea. Hungry for Bojangles but in the mood for something different? Then it's Bojangler time.
Beat the spring cleaning rush and call our cleaning heroes at Zero Res. This month, get 3 rooms, Zero Resified, starting at $119 and take $20 off your air duct cleaning. Book online anytime at ZeroResRaleigh.com and say you want the $99.9 The Fan special.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to RitchieLaw.com.
That's RitchieLaw.com.
WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on the radio, Instagram, TikTok, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
I'm WRAL meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner. We have a wind advisory in effect until 7 p.m. We'll see gusts up to 40 miles per hour, but we're also seeing a line of severe storms crossing the area. Those severe storms could produce straight-line winds that knock down trees and cause power outages. Isolated tornadoes are possible as well. We clear out before the evening commute. We'll see a low tonight of 43. Tomorrow, quiet, partly cloudy, and cooler with a high of 55.
Weather update brought to you by Newcomb & Company, where comfort is your business. Visit newcombandcompany.com. 4 o'clock check of your money. Dow Jones up 489 points to 43,010. Market update brought to you by Enbridge Gas, formerly Dominion Energy North Carolina Gas. Dominion Energy North Carolina Gas customers are now proudly served by Enbridge Gas. Looking forward to a bright future together. To learn more, visit enbridgegas.com.
Let's move the chains. Time for football at 4.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly here on 99.9 The Fan. It is football at 4 time. And just to give everybody a little insight, we have Max producing this segment. We're indoctrinating. That's not the right word. We are welcoming. That might be a better, more maybe family-friendly word. I don't know. We are working in a new member of our station's crew. So Max will be producing this one. If you hear him jump in, don't be alarmed. That's just Max. Dennis is in there doing the training thing. It is football at 4, and there's one specific thing about kind of the expectation set for the Panthers this offseason that surprised me, right? Because we've been talking about the laundry list of things that the Panthers can and should do to improve their team, right? We think they need a wide receiver 1. We think they need edge rushers. We think they need safeties. We think they need a second corner. We think they need off-ball backers. We think they need a center. We think they need this, that. The thing that was holding us back from maybe just tell them to go on a spending spree is the fact that Carolina currently, according to Spotrac, which is an online site that tracks contracts and all the money the NFL spends, Carolina has the 21st most cap space. At the moment, $33.7 million in cap space compared to, just give you a little, make it all relative, New England has the most cap space with $128 million. It's almost $100 million less than the team with the most cap space. That apparently, or at least logically, we'd be able to connect the dots, limits what you can do. So I was surprised when I was reading a ESPN article featuring Dan Graziano and Jeremy Fowler, two of ESPN's NFL insiders, where they dumped their notes, right? They went to the Combine. They talked to everybody. There's that, 47 Prime, right, the steakhouse that everybody goes to. They're all at the Combine. Everybody's talking. Everybody's gossiping. And then the insiders come back, and they dump their notes. Just here's what I heard. Graziano said, expect the Panthers to be seeking big-name players in free agency. I think Carolina could be in on the top safeties. That's Javon Holland, Cameron Bynum, etc., and might be one of the teams willing to spend big to lure defensive tackle Milton Williams away from the Super Bowl champion Eagles. They'll also look to add edge rush help, with Chase Young being one of the intriguing options. And I went, what? How? They got $33 million in cap space. Jeremy Fowler responded in the article, another separate NFL insider for ESPN. I'm hearing the same sort of stuff on the Panthers, and they also want to complete an extension with star corner J.C. Horn sooner rather than later. That market is due for an explosion with Derek Stingley Jr. and Sauce Gardner, so the Panthers are working to get ahead of that. Well darn, which confirms something that I've said for a long time, but it surprises me every time. The salary cap is mythical, because the funniest part about it is apparently they can be one of the big spenders in free agency despite having the 21st most cap space. But also, as we were getting ready to talk about this, within the last, hour or two, Zach Baun of the Eagles signed a 3-year, $51 million deal. The Eagles have every big contract in the league. They have a $50 million quarterback. They have multiple $20 million plus wide receivers. They have one of the most expensive offensive linemen. They have expensive defensive linemen. They have everybody. And now they're giving a guy who was a steal for them last year, Zach Baun, made almost nothing in NFL terms, 3 years, $51 million. If they can give 3 years, $51 to Zach Baun, I'm not going to put a limit on anything the Panthers can spend this offseason. So now I am looking big ticket item. And if you say they don't have the cap space, I'll say so. Apparently you just get to make that sort of stuff up. So yes, when I'm looking at the offseason, I am looking at Javon Holland. I am looking at Chris Godwin. I am looking at the biggest and the baddest free agents out there. Milton Williams, who was a under-talked about but wildly important part of that Eagles defense. I don't know why the Eagles wouldn't pay him, since they can seemingly pay everybody. But if they don't, Panthers should be in on that conversation. And then again, timing is everything, right? We're planning on having this conversation on the show today where I encourage the Panthers to spend. And then we get this news. DK Metcalf asking for a trade from Seattle. Now, that's not free agency, right? That is a trade. So it's in a little bit of a different category. But I don't see a lot of wide receiver ones walking around available. I don't see a lot of legitimate wide receiver ones in the draft or in free agency. So if the price is right, DK to the Panthers makes sense for me. And the price there's two different prices, right? One is the price in the trade. If it takes a second and a fourth, that's probably close to what I'd be okay with the draft picks that the Panthers have. The second thing, though, is the price that he will accept, because he's going to want an extension wherever he goes. That's where I think the Panthers can make a little hay, because NFL players don't have, no trade clauses, right? At least not many of them do, especially not young wide receivers. But what they do have is, I won't sign an extension if you trade me there. They have that leverage, right? And nobody wants to give up anything of significance for a player that's going to try to hit free agency soon. So the Panthers can offer a bunch of money to DK. How much? I don't know. The wide receiver market's going to boom, and because of everything I said about wide receiver one not being a super readily available, high supply item, there might be some other teams in the mix, Patriots amongst them with all that cap space. But if I'm the Panthers, I fix no less than 4 positions on my offense if DK Metcalf shows up. Right now, I don't like Xavier Legette as a wide receiver 2. Sorry, I don't like Xavier Legette as a wide receiver 1 for sure. I don't like Adam Thielen as a wide receiver 1. I don't like Jalen Coker as a wide receiver 3. I don't like any of that. But if you bump them all down one, if you put DK 1 and now you have Maybe Liggett, if he plays to the level of his ability, at wide receiver 2, or Adam Thielen there, and you bump everybody down on and on and on. You've improved your wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4, all for the price of DK. Big name player in free agency. That's who Dan Graziano expects the Panthers to be chasing. A big name player in free agency. I don't know if there's that many big name players in free agency. I know there's one available on the trade market as of just a couple minutes ago, DK Metcalf. Make it happen. Make it happen. And for all of they don't have the money to spend, figure it out. Because the one thing that the Eagles do, and I want to give them credit, their owner has given them a boatload of cash, which allows them to put void years and a ton of guarantees into contracts, which lets them manipulate the cap in an easy way or in an unusual way. I just looked it up. Jeff Lurie, the owner of the Eagles, net worth about $5.3 billion. Now, I'm going to say one of the craziest things that I've probably ever said into a microphone on radio. $5.3 billion is not that much. Not when it's compared to somebody like David Tepper, the owner of the Panthers. If he gives the Panthers the cash, and there's certain rules about where the money is kept and what accounts they're kept when it's guaranteed versus when it's not guaranteed and all of these other things. If he gives the Panthers the money, they can go spend. They can manipulate the cap in interesting ways. That's why Brant Tillis is there. Brant Tillis, a front office executive that came over from the Chiefs to the Panthers, he's there to do just that, manipulate the cap.
For reference, for those unaware, you said Jeffrey Lurie, $5.3 billion.
That's what the internet tells me.
David Tepper's net worth, $21.3, about 4 times that.
Whatever cash the Eagles have with Jeff Lurie, David Tepper should have for the Panthers, right? I don't know. I don't know the way their checking account's set up. Right? I don't know if they got to move it from savings to checking. I don't know if they got to liquidate, but they should be able to. So I'm not going to sit here and let my daydreaming for an offseason for the Panthers be limited by the fact that Spotrac tells me the Panthers have the 21st most cap space this year. That, to me, is temporary. Because think about how differently we'll look at this offseason. If, and we're going to get into this later this hour, if the Panthers draft an edge rusher with the 8th overall pick, sign a high-priced free agent edge rusher, sign J.C. Horn to an extension to lock him in, sign or trade for and then sign DK Metcalf. And that's before they even start looking for diamonds in the rough and bargain basement hunting. You get 4 names at positions of desperate need that will increase not only the present but the future of your franchise. As much as anybody in the league improves this offseason, the Panthers can, but I do acknowledge that they will have to be creative with their cap spending. But again, the cap is mythical. It's fake. It's a unicorn. It's pixie dust. It's however else you want to describe it. It's Harry Potter on a broom. Because, I don't know, they got calculators. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. That voice you heard was Max. Give him a shout-out, everybody, if you're in the YouTube comments or anything like that. He just produced his first segment here on 99.9 The Fan and did a great job. We'll see if we get to commercials smoothly, but I have all the faith in him. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we have the ladder challenge, in which case Dennis makes his plea that pleads his case, or I plead the case that Dennis somehow affected the universe to ruin my bet. Before we get there, though, Tim Donnelly here for Gordon Miller and Miller Lending. When it comes to mortgage rates, the irony, right? I'm going to accuse somebody of being able to predict the future. The irony is you really can't predict the future. You talk to somebody, right, your neighbor, you're walking the dog, they pop out, hey, what's going on? Somehow you get talking about mortgage rates. What do they always know, right? Hey, in 6 months, it's going to go down. Hey, because of this political reason, they're going to skyrocket. Hey, because of that, rates are going to go down. Don't get your mortgage now. Don't refinance now. Rather than playing the guessing game, rather than trying to predict the unpredictable, no closing cost loan from Gordon Miller. If rates right now are lower than the rate you locked in, because they did drop almost a half point, just a week or two ago. If the rate is lower now than it was when you locked in your mortgage, call Miller Lending. You might be able to refinance right now, no closing costs, no cash out of your pocket, and lower your monthly payment immediately. And even if you're not able to right now, if rates drop again in the future, like your neighbor is so confident they will or won't, if it happens, call up Miller Lending, refinance once again. Never pay to buy down a rate, because a no closing cost loan can make the math work out in your favor, to where flexibility is at your fingertips, and the ability to take advantage of an ever-changing market is right there. Give them a call, 919-447-3377. I'll say that again a little bit slower, 919-447-3377 for Miller Lending, or you can visit them online at millerlending.com. Once again, that is millerlending.com. Miller Lending is an equal housing lender, NMLS number 2502146. Coming up next, ladder challenge, and again, I think Dennis somehow impacted my bet. Stick around.
Listen for the Did He Just Do That?
Johnson trying to step back for a three. Bring it up. Left side. Boy, that was cold-blooded.
The deep looks from downtown.
Damas from the right block. Gives to Hawkins. Straight on. Triple. Good. They left him open, and he makes him pay.
The Get That Out of Here's.
Bonner to the basket. Rejected by Renew, who saw that one coming.
Your exclusive home for the Final Four. 99.9 The Fan. The Triangle Sports Leader.
Welcome home. Your home is more than just walls and windows. It's where your story unfolds. At Baker Home Exteriors, we understand that every detail helps write that story. For over a century, our parent company, Baker Roofing, has set the standard for excellence, and now we're bringing that same dedication to your home. From roofing and siding to windows, gutters, and more, our craftsmen transform houses into the sanctuaries you've always imagined. Visit BakerHomeExteriors.com to begin your home's next chapter.
Looking for a new vehicle? Wilkinson Chevrolet Cadillac Buick GMC in Sanford is one of the only dealerships where you can shop all four brands under one roof. Get unbeatable deals on new and pre-owned vehicles. Our expert service department keeps you on the road, and our full body shop handles any repairs. It's all here at Wilkinson, where quality and convenience come first. Drive with confidence, drive with Wilkinson Chevrolet Cadillac Buick GMC on NC 87 South in Sanford, or online at WilkinsonCars.com.
Jackson Hewitt wants you to save money on tax prep. We're saving money by having our intern rap in this commercial.
Don't stress, Jackson Hewitt's got expert tax prep 149 or less. Yo, some tax guys lie about price. They got hidden fees, that ain't nice. Ain't nice. Don't ignore MC Kevin's rhyme, cause this deal's for a limited time. 149.
For tax prep that's $149 or less, hurry into Jackson Hewitt today.
No cap.
Limited time offer for new clients on federal returns. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com/149.
Progressive knows there are some surprisingly expensive things in life, like frames. Because you found a classic 70s concert poster. But when you went to get it framed, you realized the frame will cost about 4 times the amount of the poster. Which is actually absurd, because no one will be looking at the frame, and if they are, then you severely overestimated how cool this poster is. But then you remember, by switching your home and auto to Progressive, you could save hundreds and put it towards a classic 70s concert poster in an absurdly overpriced frame. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states.
Hear that? That's the sound of digital instants from the North Carolina Education Lottery. With instant wins, progressive jackpots, and bonus games right from your phone. It's nonstop chances to win like you've never seen or heard before.
Oh, yeah! Big money!
Visit nclottery.com to get in on the action. Must be 18 to play. See prize and odds charts at nclottery.com/digital-instance for details. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
Breaking news coming in from Bet365, where every nail-biting overtime win, breakaway, pick six, three-point shot, underdog win, buzzer beater, shootout, walk-off, and absolutely every play in between is amazing. From football to basketball and hockey to baseball, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Gambling problem? Call 1-877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov. 21 plus only.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Dennis, I don't know how you did it, but somehow you impacted my bet in the ladder challenge and caused it to lose.
Oh, you're welcome.
No, man, that's not cool. I already lost, so I'm starting back at 10. You got to rub it in.
Okay.
I had Canes Red Wings alternate total over 3.5 goals. And literally yesterday you said, I think the Canes will win 2-1, which would be a loss for me. They won 2-1, which was a loss for me. But the crazier part is this, and I actually wrote it down, so let me go ahead and bring it up for you. Aho, Jarvis, Rantanen, Svetch, Stahl, Blake, Hall, Chatfield, Gostisbehere all had at least 2 shots on goal. They had multiple looks at an empty net at the end of a game. They had good looks, had multiple power plays, had all of that going for them. 2 goals? I think if you play that game 10 times, the Canes get maybe 4 goals by themselves, like 7 times. And the over hits in 9 out of 10, but somehow, some way, it ends up with the 1 time. So I go back down to our restarting at 10. I lost the cash. Did you win your bet?
I did. I needed Nikita Kucherov to have 2+ shots on goal for Tampa Bay Lightning. He had 7.
That's a lot.
Yep.
So you are back in the lead, which means you get to go first. Still very early in March. I'm not worried.
Yeah, you know.
But I was bummed last night. There was so many opportunities for more goals for the Canes. They got the win, so I'm not going to try to be too bitter, but it should have been higher. Should have been more. Those are the worst bets where you still feel afterwards, you still feel like you should have been right rather than just accepting the loss. I'm like, no, I had it. I predicted it.
Couldn't get that empty netter.
They tried. And Stahl was complaining. I appreciate it. He was fighting all the way to the end. There was like 27 seconds left, and he's still fighting for penalties and everything else. So I respect the effort, everybody. Just they fell short for me. Got the win, though. That's the most important part. Dennis, go ahead and make your pick for tonight.
My pick for tonight is the Ottawa Senators are at the Chicago Blackhawks. Ottawa Senators, Brady Tkachuk averages over 4 shots on goal a game. Just give me 2+ shots on goal for Brady Tkachuk of the Ottawa Senators. That's a minus 900. So my $11.50 will turn into $12.70.
For those of you that are new to the ladder challenge, we roll over our winnings, stake and winnings every day. We pick likely to win bets, and we try to keep it rolling. Eventually, after like a week or two, when we get rolling, the money, we do start, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Xing timesing our money. But at the beginning, it does feel kind of ridiculous. You're like, my $11 will turn into $13. And I'm sitting here going, hopefully my $10 will turn into $11.81.
I mean, I finished February with $45.
Compared to a $10 starting. There you go.
I mean, 1 month I won. I think I had $91 or something like that.
So there is a ramp up here. Stick with us. Tonight, I'm going with Dontrez Styles, NC State basketball, over 8 points scored versus Pitt. It is minus 550. As I said, turned my $10 into $11.81. I like narrative bets. I like bets where I feel like we get into the athlete's head. I don't know if we can get better analytics than the sports books odds makers, but I do think we can get into the mind of an athlete better than the sports book odd makers. I always take the over for seniors on meaningless senior nights, right? If the win doesn't mean anything for your team, those senior, like, hey, let's give them a cool moment events do become more appropriate. When you're playing for like conference seeding or you're playing to make an NCAA tournament, who cares if the seniors score or not? Let's go out and execute the game plan. State doesn't have a ton at stake in this game. So the seniors, I think they'll get their opportunities to shine. I wish there was a Breon Pass line out there. I tried to find one, couldn't. So I'm settling for a different senior, an in-state guy that, kind of bounced around the transfer portal during his career in Dontrez Styles. But I think he gets at least 8 points. So I have 8 or more points scored for NC State versus Pitt tonight. That'll turn my $10 into $11.81. Other seniors, if you're looking for them, Michael O'Connell, Ben Middlebrooks, they have a whole bunch on senior night. I just think Styles will get to at least 8. There you go. That is the ladder challenge. Any predictions you want to make on what is Styles going to finish with 7? Is that what's going to happen here?
No, I'm not going to do that to the guy.
Well, you did it to the bet last
I said
time.
the Canes were going to win. That's what I wanted. And they won 2-1. I should have made a bet on the exact scores, what I should have done.
Rantanen would have scored 3 if you didn't say that. Everybody would have been stoked.
And you know what? That's fine, too.
Let's move on. Get my bitterness out of the way. That's the ladder challenge here on The Drive with Tim Donnelly. Now let's jump to a little hit it and quit it. We lined up the biggest stories in sports. We hit it, we quit it, we move on. This is actually funny because the trade deadline in the NHL is Friday. So there's going to be a ton of reports. And Dennis and I, when we're planning the show, Dennis went with like, have you heard this crazy rumor about a Mikko Rantanen possible trade? And my thought was, yes, I had. Because I had heard a crazy rumor about a Mikko Rantanen possible trade. We were bringing different rumors to the table because things are getting that crazy. Dennis, what was the rumor you heard?
So actually, we have the soundbite. This actually comes from Frank Saravalli, Daily Faceoff. He actually joined the What Chaos podcast, which is Pete Blackburn, who used to be part of Bally Sports and some others. This is actually what Frank Saravalli, who's plugged in, by the way, and I mean plugged in with the NHL. Here's what Frank Saravalli had to say about potential dark horses for teams to trade for Mikko Rantanen.
I would say if Mikko Rantanen is going to be on the move, I think you'd have to consider Vegas. I think you'd have to consider the LA Kings. And I'll throw a wild card at you because they've got the prospects, picks, and the cap space to do it and then even re-sign him would be the Utah Hockey Club.
Oh,
hell yeah.
We want that in the offseason, brother. If we get that right now, sheesh.
But in the end, I'm not convinced that Carolina moves Mikko Rantanen. I think they keep him and roll the dice and see what happens.
I will say, saved himself a little bit with that last line.
Yes.
But before that, the crazy was there.
I'm sorry. Picks and prospects for Rantanen from Utah? For a team that's going to be in the playoffs? Oh, let's get picks and prospects? This isn't a fire sale. Frank, what are you doing here, buddy? What are you doing? Be smarter than that. Let's be realistic.
I think I can top it. I mean, I do think mine's a little crazy.
Go on.
James Nichols, who's a Devils beat reporter, put out a tweet that was sent to me by... You know it's crazy when, like, your group chats get it in multiple different forms, like this group chat, someone else. Did you see this? Did you see this? I got it from multiple different avenues. The tweet said, one nugget of info. This is from a Devils beat reporter, New Jersey Devils. One nugget of info I'm told about the Hughes situation. That's Jack Hughes. Got hurt recently. Depending if he hits long-term IR or not, I'm told the Devils have already called to let Carolina know if they're selling Mikko Rantanen, they'll be in the mix. End of tweet. I don't know. Am I being punked? Is this the ha gotcha?
Might be.
Candid camera? I know I'm on camera on our YouTube live stream. Was that the trick? So I wouldn't notice him?
We are on Practical Jokers.
There's a really good chance the Canes will be playing New Jersey in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, again.
And they're going to put Mikko Rantanen on the team that they're going to face in the first round of the playoffs? Not to mention, I don't even know what you'd want back from the Devils.
Give me Nico Hischier.
I mean, it would be like actually...
Or the other Hughes.
I was going to say,
me Luke.
Someone with last name Hughes would probably work. I think trade deadlines have like the effect of like hiking Everest or something, where you're not getting as much oxygen and loopy thoughts start coming in. Like the closer you get to the deadline, the more like wild and crazy and out there topics become, for some reason, more palatable. How about this? We'll trade you Mikko Rantanen for DK Metcalf. It's like, what is going on here? How? Who? What? If Jack Hughes goes on long-term IR, Mikko Rantanen goes to the Devils. That's the gist of it.
Not happening.
I am firmly on the do not send Mikko Rantanen anywhere at the deadline. I got a notification from ESPN today. I immediately screenshotted it and put it on Twitter. I will read it to you. This was the little notification badge, like the sentence you get before you click on the article. It's from Kaplan, national ESPN reporter for NFL. For NHL. Mikko Rantanen hasn't told Hurricanes he won't re-sign, which is like a quadruple negative to say that Mikko Rantanen has not said, I'm not signing with you. Like he hasn't closed the door on signing with the Canes. So Carolina, this is from Kaplan, Carolina could keep him and bet on itself. That's all I need to know. If he hasn't absolutely slammed the door, I keep him and I try to sell my team, my coaches, my roster to Rantanen for the next 3 months. That's all I needed to know. Unless you are sending back, something absolutely ridiculous. Let's quit that. Let's hit this.
Joe Thuney got traded. Joe Thuney, former NC State offensive lineman, played with the New England Patriots, won a couple of Super Bowls there, played with the Kansas City Chiefs, won a couple of Super Bowls there with the Chiefs, being traded to the Chicago Bears, Tim. And I think the Chicago Bears are essentially trying to copy what the Carolina Panthers are doing, which generally teams don't try and copy what the Carolina Panthers are doing, but it seems to be, after trading for a couple of interior offensive linemen, that they're trying to help their young quarterback by protecting him and not letting him get beat up.
Yeah, there's three ways to look at this. One, if I'm a Chiefs fan, I probably thought this was like the ridiculous rumor that we just talked about ranting. You're like, Thuney for a fourth.
Good one. A fourth in 2026.
He's a multiple-time All-Pro. He's probably a future Hall of Famer. A fourth. Oh wait, this is real. This isn't a rumor. This actually happened. Just shows the Chiefs are making difficult money decisions, so they are moving on from a legend for a fourth just so they don't have to pay him because he is expecting a contract. Then there's the Bears side of it, which is, hey, this is different. Bears are doing things that people like in the offseason. What the heck's going on there? And then there's the Panthers side of it, and you hinted at this. My first thought was, Bryce Young, first year, not good. Left a lot to be desired. That offseason, spent big. Robert Hunt, highest paid guard in free agency. Damian Lewis, another one of the highest paid guards in free agency. Both come over to the Panthers. Suddenly the offense takes a couple steps forward. Bryce Young, while not starting great, once he comes on in the second half, plays much better. Potentially because he has a little bit of a pocket to step up into. Potentially because the running game is working very well behind the likes of Hunt and Lewis. So the Bears draft another guy, number 1 overall, Caleb Williams. While not as bad as Bryce Young's rookie year by any stretch, does have some struggles, some ups and downs. People are a little underwhelmed. They go, all right, well, how did the Panthers save Bryce Young? They went and got 2 of the best available guards. Let's do that. The Bears trade for Jonah Jackson from the Rams, high-paid guard. That's like the Damian Lewis. And then they trade for Joe Thuney, and they'll have to pay him a bunch, probably $20+ million, just like Panthers paid Hunt. There's the Robert Hunt. And suddenly the incubator for Caleb Williams to develop is much better. And also the Bears learned a lesson. Because what did they load up on for Caleb Williams' rookie year?
Wide receivers.
Yeah. Turns out it could be wide open down the field. If you're running for your life, it's really hard to find them. DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Roma Dunze, these guys were just downfield open. Caleb Williams was running for his life. So Joe Thuney, I still think he's a Hall of Famer. I still think he's a legend. I think he'll probably not win many more Super Bowls in Chicago, but he will make a lot more money. And, there's what do you do once you get 4 rings, right? Now you got to go earn the money to build a house around the trophy room where you will store them. Let's quit that. Let's hit this.
We got better tonight.
I had a thought. There's so many different angles to the ACC agreements settlement with Florida State and Clemson, but I had a thought last night. I was trying to explain it to somebody, like what it was, and I was explaining the payout structure, and I said they're going to pay out a certain portion of their media money to the teams that have the best TV ratings, on average over a 5-year rolling period. So if more people watch Florida State than any other team, more people watch Clemson than any other team, they'll get a higher payout of the money. And then it kind of hit me, and I went, yeah, that does make sense. This motivates fans of ACC teams, any individual ACC team, to boycott watching every other ACC game that doesn't include their favorite team. For example, somebody out there listening right now is a UNC Tar Heel fan. Okay, you are a Tar Heel fan. You love the Tar Heels. You can't wait to watch Belichick. There's going to be a game this year where the Tar Heels play at noon, and there's a giant ACC game at night. You're not going to want to watch that night game because that will increase the ratings for one of your competitors for the media money. Even if you concede, we're never going to beat Clemson in the rankings. If Clemson's playing Louisville, you don't want to give Louisville that ranking. Both UNC and Louisville play Clemson this year. Louisville fans, in a weird way, are motivated not to watch Clemson UNC and vice versa because they don't want to give that payout. I hate it so much. The more and more I learn about this disproportionate payout structure, I hate it more and more and more each time. Fans should be motivated to watch your conference, not to boycott watching every team that's not your favorite team in your conference. Like, well, I don't want to give these ratings to Pitt because they might pass me in the media money, so I'll watch an SEC game. That's what you want to have happen? I'll go watch Vandy, Arkansas instead of Pitt, Boston College.
Do you think, I know Paul Ihander brought this up this morning or earlier on Next Up, but I didn't think about this until I heard him say it this morning.
Another bad angle, I'm sure.
No, does it entice a school to schedule a tougher non-conference opponent knowing the fact that you are going to have more eyeballs? Like, for example, we saw NC State play Tennessee. A lot of eyeballs on that game. Maybe North Carolina schedules a non-conference game maybe against, I don't know, name your SEC school. You think it might entice them to play that kind of game early in the year to get that high-rated game?
Absolutely. Absolutely it will.
Which might not be a bad thing.
It's a good thing. It's absolutely a good thing. The only issue, maybe not only issue, but I also think it's going to maybe drive more Thursday night games. Right? I think it's going to be more when you can get a one-off, like coaches that used to hate short week preparation are now going to go, well, actually, if we can get on when there's no other football games going on, let's do that. So there's creative ways to kind of game that whole deal. And, you got to talk to whoever the media people are. Getting off the CW and onto ESPN becomes everybody's goal.
The UNC Monday night opener against TCU what is huge because guess what? There's no other game going on.
But also because, I'm doing all the reacting to this. I go to Florida State's schedule. Guess who they open the season with?
Who?
Alabama. Ain't nobody catching Florida State this year in ratings.
Probably not.
Florida State was awful. Horrendous last year.
Georgia Tech actually had the best ratings last year of the ACC. Help when they played Florida State, but then also the game against Georgia that went to 7 or 8 overtimes.
They played Georgia. They got Notre Dame. If you get Notre Dame in your rotation with the ACC, that becomes a huge advantage. They played Miami when Miami was number 4. Georgia Tech's schedule was a tailor-made ratings bonanza. Even if you don't know who Haynes King is, it was still like I don't even almost unintentionally watched 8 Georgia Tech games this year just because they were the opponent. Who has been seen play all over the world? The New York Generals, because they're just always playing the Globetrotters. Like
the Washington Generals?
Yeah.
You said New York Generals.
I thought they were the New York Generals.
No, it's the Washington Generals. You're thinking the New York Giants.
I thought Washington Generals were from the replacements.
That's the Washington Sentinels.
See? I'm losing it. Getting old. Memory's going. I'm going to start writing these things down. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Let's quit that. Let's hit this.
It means more.
Something that might mean more is that number 1 overall seed in the NCAA tournament, Tim, which is something that Duke might actually have. The number 1 team in the country and number 1 team in the net rankings, Auburn, lost yesterday to Texas A&M. And kind of convincingly, I guess you could say.
100%.
Which Duke is, again, knocking on the door, already has a head-to-head win over Auburn. We've seen Alabama lose a close game recently against Tennessee, another team that was flirting for maybe that number 1 overall seed in the NCAA tournament. Auburn losing again yesterday might open the door for Duke. They went out the regular season and obviously their final game, but then the ACC tournament, they might be the number 1 overall seed in the entire NCAA tournament.
I don't think it's might. If they win out, they're the number 1 seed. Can I give you Texas A&M's last 5 games?
Sure.
They lost by 16 to number 21 Mississippi State. They lost by 12 to number 6 Tennessee. They lost by 2 to unranked Vanderbilt. They lost by 19 to number 3 Florida. And then they beat number 1 Auburn by 11. Auburn can't lose that game and be the number 1 overall seed. Duke was nipping at their heels already. Auburn now falls behind. And if Duke wins out, they will have meaningful games because UNC... they're not the pushover that some thought they were. That win means something. For Duke to win an ACC championship, they'll probably have to beat 2 out of UNC, Clemson, and Louisville again. So if they do that, there's no ground being lost. Because both Louisville and Clemson are top 25 teams. So So yeah, give me. If they win out, which is an if they win out, Duke is the number 1 overall seed in the NCAA tournament.
So current net rankings, Duke is now up to number 1, just ahead of Auburn. Clemson currently sits at 22 in the net. Louisville 25 in the net. North Carolina jumped up from 43 to 38 yesterday in the net rankings, which is a big deal for them, especially we got schools like SMU and some others that you're competing against to get into the NCAA tournament.
And on top of that, like Ken Pom and some of the other things that they take into account, Duke is having a legendary season.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, Duke's the 1 seed if they win out. If they don't win out, they won't be, and they won't deserve to. Just like Auburn doesn't deserve to right now. But if Duke wins out, they're the 1 overall. Let's quit that. Let's hit this.
Got it!
Former Duke point guard Kyrie Irving. We didn't get to talk about it earlier this week, so I want to mention it. Blew out his knee. Brutal.
Torn ACL.
Brutal. The Mavs, first of all. If I was walking into a restaurant and I saw the Dallas Mavericks walking into the restaurant, I would go somewhere else because I'd assume something bad is going to happen in the restaurant. Just everything they touch is turning to not good right now. Got swindled in the trade for Luka. Derek Lively's been hurt. In Derek Lively's absence, another Duke guy, Gafford, their center, got hurt as well. He's out 6 weeks. Anthony Davis showed up in the trade for Luka. He played 31 minutes before he got hurt. He hasn't played again. Kyrie Irving was kind of the last guy of their core. He's now hurt and done for the year. Goodness gracious, it's not good for the Mavs. I just wanted to acknowledge Kyrie Irving. He's turned around some things. Some people really didn't like him for a while. He seems to be back in the good graces, and now he's going to be rehabbing, and guys getting hurt always stinks. I hate. And he did the thing that makes it even worse, right? He hurt his knee. He knew it was hurt, and he still walked up and made the free throws. So he, basketball warrior style, goes out on his jumper. That's cool. It's like the Kobe thing. It's the Klay Thompson thing, which, by the way, people are now saying every 6 years. Kobe, I think it was 2013, blew out his Achilles, stood up, knocked down 2 free throws, left the game with the injury. Then in 2019, Klay Thompson blew out his knee, knocked down the free throws, left with the injury. Kyrie Irving now in 2025, 6 years later, blows out his knee, knocks down the free throws, leaves with the injury. I don't know. I'd be stretching an extra amount in 2031. That's all I'm saying. If I were a high-scoring 2 guard,
get that pliability.
Yeah, I'm talking to my trainer as much as I can in 2031. Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. That's Hit It and Quit It. Here's Dennis Cox.
Hey, folks, Dennis Cox here for my friends over at Law Tigers. You have an opportunity. Just go to caniacsbike.com. You have an opportunity to win a custom Caniacs motorcycle. Again, go to caniacsbike.com. Sign up, register there. That's where you enter to win. You'll see pictures of the bike. It is a custom build because the Law Tigers, Tobacco Road, Harley-Davidson, Shiny Side Paint, and your Carolina Hurricanes have all teamed up once again to give one lucky fan a custom Caniacs motorcycle. Pretty simple how to enter, folks. Again, go to caniacsbike.com to enter for your chance to win this custom beauty of a motorcycle. Which, by the way, if you are a motorcycle rider, make sure you go to lawtigers.com. Scroll down on their homepage. They have a free rider's benefit kit for you. Scroll down there, check it out. Understand truly what your benefits are as a rider and know how you can be protected when you're out there on the road in case you are involved in a motorcycle accident. If you're thinking about riding for the first time, again, do the same thing. Law Tigers, by the way, it's a group of network of independent law firms who are members of the American Association of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. They're riders too. They know what your bike is worth. They know what your gear is worth. So if you're injured in a motorcycle accident, call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS. Even before you call your insurance company, your case evaluation with them is always free, and they don't get paid until your case settles. So again, call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS, North Carolina's Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. Law Tigers, again, is a network of independent law firms who are members of the American Association of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. Law Tigers is not a law firm.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan, gets to one of my favorite times of the week. It is Mock Draft Wednesday. Edge rushers, you may enter the room. Stick around.
Move your sports day forward.
So understand in the job interview with Dave Canales, he loves a good backstory. So if you want to be his friend, get this. If he asks you the sky is blue, tell him it's blue, but it's Carolina blue. And it was the blue sky that you saw when you were flying kites with your aunt after your favorite goldfish died. There you go. Top 10 pick.
Get set up. Join Next Up with Paul Ihander. Mornings at 9 on 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Dear McDonald's, your breakfast menu? Fire. 10s across the board. I could be happy with anything, even though I order the same thing every time. Thanks for not judging me. I'll try something new next time. Maybe.
Get your faves for less. Buy a sausage McMuffin with egg for $2.50 at any size Sprite for $1.49. Price of participation may vary, cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Are you suffering from chronic joint pain or just struggling with daily activities because of discomfort in your knees, back, or other parts of your body? Well, I've got great news. It's called DaVita Med Spa and Wellness, a solution that can help you get back to feeling like yourself again without the risks of invasive surgery or long-term prescription drug use. DaVita Med Spa and Wellness is a regenerative medicine clinic. Their innovative treatment options address the root cause of your pain to promote healing and prevent re-injury for long-lasting pain relief. If you have arthritis, joint pain, sports injuries, or other conditions, their highly trained medical providers will develop a cutting-edge treatment plan tailored just for you with little to no downtime. DaVita Med Spa and Wellness can get you back to doing the things you love. Call DaVita Med Spa and Wellness today, spelled DVIDA. Call 984-333-1313, 984-333-1313, 984-333-1313.
Don't go through another year with all that high interest debt. Let Loan Pronto wipe it all out now. Hey, it's Dennis Cox. Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan makes it easy to pay off all your credit cards or tackle that 2025 home improvement project. Get cash in your pocket fast. No appraisals, no paperwork, no waiting. Loan Pronto's AI-driven tech gets you approved and funded in as little as 1 day. One client got $150,000 approved in under 24 hours. Paid off all their credit cards, 2 cars, and a personal loan, saving over $1,500 per month. With low fixed rates and lightning fast transfers, you can do it too. Consolidate debt, improve your home, take control of your finances. Imagine being credit card debt-free by this time next week. Don't wait. Call Loan Pronto now, 919-381-1760, or visit loanpronto.com. Get a free rate quote with no hard credit pull, 919-381-1760, loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
It's a tight formation. Thielen slot left. Tremble, the tight end. Here's the snap. The fake to Boone. Young backpedals. Rolling to his right. He can run for it. He's got the 10. He's got the 5. Bryce into the end zone. And Carolina takes the lead. Count them. 1, 2.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. It's Mock Draft Wednesday, everybody. Leading up to the NFL Draft. Every Wednesday, we look at the mock drafts. We predict how the draft will go. It is a nice little corner of the show where I get to nerd out with NFL Draft as much as I possibly can.
We're about, 50 days away?
I believe we are exactly 50 days.
I think we're 50 days away.
From the first round of the NFL Draft. And the Panthers hold the 8th overall pick in that draft. In an interesting turn just moments ago, the Jaguars, according to Adam Schefter, plan to release Christian Kirk, wide receiver. A little bit of a cost-saving move there.
I did see that.
At times, he has looked like a guy that could help the Panthers. I'm not sure the price will match how much you would get from him, but it's something to explore. They need wide receivers. Just throwing that out there. Because in the draft, the 8th overall pick, the closer and closer it gets, the more and more I look at this year's draft and try to align it with the Panthers' needs. Looks like an edge rusher. Looks like an edge rusher with 8. And notice I'm not saying names. I'm saying positions. It is a strong and deep edge rusher draft this year. We're talking outside linebackers that mostly get after the quarterbacks, defensive ends that mostly get after the quarterbacks. It is a desperate need for the Panthers, and when there's a good draft at a particular position and a desperate need at that position, you go there. Now, there's to me, there is a one-player tier at the top of that position, and then there is a group, and the group is identifiable by nobody has it all. Abdul Carter out of Penn State. This is not just me talking, but the draft analysts. It's pretty consensus he's the best edge rusher in the draft. It's also pretty consensus that nobody expects him to be there at 8. He will be drafted, could be the number 1 overall pick, but almost guaranteed top 4. So that's the one. I do think there's very few holes in his resume. He looks like he's got it all. Okay. After that, and I wrote down the names here. There's Michael Williams and Jalen Walker from Georgia. There's Shamar Stewart and Nick Scourton from Texas A&M. There's Donovan Ezeraku from Boston College. There's Mike Green from Marshall and James Pierce Jr. from Tennessee. Not in any order there, just those are the guys. It becomes a choose-your-own-adventure. It becomes, Dan Morgan, what are you okay with? A lot of times I use the analogy of watching, you ever watch HG, like all the Fixer Upper, the Love It or Listed, like all the HG TV shows. When they're picking a house, they always come in with their wish list, right? Well, the husband, he wants a man cave and a big backyard. The wife is looking for a view and to be walkable to the beach, right? Whatever their wish list is.
Pizza oven, outdoor grill, the whole deal.
They want an outdoor kitchen for entertaining and room for the kids to have fun safely, like whatever the voiceover says. And then their budget is $19, and they want to live in New York City, Manhattan, if possible. And then they have to start basically telling the realtor, the real estate agent, what things on their wish list they'd be okay if it didn't have it, right? All right, we could do without the man cave. Okay, if it didn't have a pool, we could make it work. All right, a 3-car garage, if that's too much, we can settle for, just a big driveway. I don't know. That's where the Panthers are. We want an edge rusher. We want him to have a ton of college production. We want him to have absolutely dominated the combine. We want him to be at least 6'5" and at least 260. We want him to be, all of these things. Versatile. We want him to be all of these things. And they go, all right, if you had a top 3 pick, we could interest you in Abdul Carter. Is that within your budget? No, we're not trading up to the top 3. We just can't make it work, right? The way our bank accounts are set up, it's just we don't have the ability. All right, then let me present you with a bunch of other options, but they're all missing something on your wish list. Which one are you okay not having? Because if you want at least 6'5", if you want 260 plus, if you want maybe the best athlete to ever go through the combine, I can interest you in Shamar Stewart out of Texas A&M. However, he does not have the college production at all. 4.5 career sacks. He played 3 years at Texas A&M. He's never had more than 1.5 sacks in a season at Texas A&M. However, he did come in with maybe the most impressive combine we've ever seen. He ranked 3rd out of 1,802 defensive ends from the 1987 combine to the 2025 combine in relative athletic score. RAS, it's a whole equation that takes in size and speed and explosion and all that. They also said his best athletic profile comps were Javon Curse, who literally had the nickname The Freak and had 14.5 sacks his rookie year, Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney, who were both number 1 overall picks. That's his athletic comp. He's never had 2 sacks in a season, right? You can have everything you want except for that. Or you can go with somebody like Jalen Walker. Jalen Walker, everything you look for. He's had a decent amount of sacks in the SEC. Mm-hmm. He's played a ton at the college level. He's
high motor,
everything you like. The coaches are going to rave about him, but he's not going to hit your minimums in size. He's a smaller guy, and the versatility might be there if you see him playing off ball, but he's not going to check those boxes from size perspective.
Depends on how you view him. Do you view him as a guy we can move around all over the place, or like, he's too small to play edge and he's just an off-ball linebacker? Depends how you view him.
I want someone a little bigger. All right, let's look at his teammate, Michael Williams, Georgia. He is a quintessential, like, drawn up in a create-a-player lab edge rusher. Physically, never had more than 5 sacks in a season. Right? You're everything. I can give you the 2-car garage. I can give you the chef's kitchen. I can hook it up, but you're not going to have the acreage in the back. Like, there's always that one thing you're not going to have.
What's your non-negotiable?
My non-negotiable at edge rusher, I think, is size and speed.
Okay.
Simply because I've seen so many, ACC Players of the Year, or I see so many college All-Americans not make it at the next level, and then you see guys like Von Miller, who it's like, wait, are they really going number 2 overall? Yeah, he ran a 4.4. It's like, it just works, and he's a Hall of Famer. I think, you might be able to trade back and get this guy because he's tumbling. James Pierce, Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
He is a Charlotte guy. That's not even why I'm excited about him. 4.47 40. Now, he didn't light up the combine by any stretch, had a 31-inch vert, but he was productive at Tennessee. Not overly so, 9.5 most sacks in a season, 7.5 last year, but he did get hurt. But that 4.47 40 is going to be tough for me to look away from.
Hard to ignore.
Also a little light, not the heaviest guy in the world, but I can introduce him to, maybe he moves home, right? Back around a cookout or something, and then all of a sudden he's putting on the weight. James Pierce Jr. is looking good. Donovan Ezeraku, it might end up being a my guy for me. My guys are guys in the draft that wherever they're taken, I just get really excited that they get taken.
ACC Defensive Player of the Year.
16.5 sacks last year.
Mm-hmm.
Little undersized, not going to light up a combine, but great bend and explosiveness, right? All the buzzwords. I like it when good football players get drafted. So and Ezeraku's been a guy that Boston College, he could have bailed a few times and cashed in NIL, but he stayed loyal, so I like him there. We haven't talked about Mike Green. He might be the most like everything but this one thing guy in the entire draft. Mike Green, Marshall, freak athlete. He's going to test crazy. Didn't do much at the combine, but he at his pro day, he's going to light it up. Great production. He had 17 sacks this year, most of any of the guys we've mentioned. Does have off-the-field concerns with some accusations of the stuff you really don't want your players to be associated with at UVA and even going back to high school. I wouldn't, but there are some that would, and make no mistake about it, he is a baller. So it is a choose-your-own-adventure from everybody being mocked as an edge rusher in the first or early second round. What are you okay with not having? What's your non-negotiable?
Give me the name. And if Tim Donnelly, your GM,
8th pick,
who you picking? Give me the guy.
8th pick.
Assuming all those guys are there. I mean, obviously outside of Abdul Carter being there or Mason Graham. Now,
I should have answered quickly, and Mason Graham light at the combine. He's got a everything but as well.
We could put weight on him. Don't worry.
You think Michigan wasn't trying?
Oh, I know, but I know where Krispy Kreme's located.
I think. At 8, if I stick and pick at 8, Michael Williams. Georgia, the one that looks the part, lesser production.
Only 20 years old.
Very young also, which I like. That tends to project well. If I have my druthers, trade back.
Well, of course.
If I have my druthers, trade back early 20s, late teens if possible, and take James Pierce if he's there. Maybe a Donovan Ezeraku if you go back even further if he's there, and use that draft capital to go get DK Metcalf. If we're talking like whatever I could possibly work, that's what I'm looking for. I'm out on Stewart. I think I might be out on Walker just because I don't know if he's a true edge. I don't know, and I don't want to get a tweener, even though I like him as a player. Which I guess means I'm okay with a little less production in college, which I hate because I like picking, my whole thing is pick the players that played good football and expect them to play good football. So I'm going against my own things there just because Michael Williams seems like a dude. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. If you have a preference, you can let us know in the YouTube comments on our YouTube live stream, 99.9 The Fan. You can send it to me on Twitter, @Donnelly Sports. I appreciate all of you for letting me nerd out in the draft. We'll do it again next Wednesday. When we come back, starting 5, NC State, men's basketball. Their season's not actually over. They play tonight at Pitt. That'll lead off the starting 5. Come around.
Evan, Canty, and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
I know we don't want to degrade the trade yet, but if Luka and LeBron and the Lakers win a title this season, does it matter whatever happens with the Mavs in the future?
Nope.
It doesn't. I wonder how nervous they are in Dallas, because if he goes on and wins a title this year, it doesn't matter if 5 years from now they win a title. Forever, we will say, what a dumb move.
Mornings from 6 to 9 on 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
It's bow time.
Finally, lunchtime. I'm starving.
What's that?
This is the Bojangler from Bojangles.
Ooh, with the same bold flavor as their chicken?
The same.
And fries.
The same.
Huh. Well, I've got a PB&J.
Yeah, that's not the same.
A crispy fish fillet dusted in Bo's famous seasoning. With cheese and tartar sauce on a fluffy bun, the Bojangler's back. Hook one while you can. It's Bo time.
There's no time like Bojangler time. Time to stop whatever you're doing and head over to Bojangles to try the Bojangler Fish Fillet Sandwich. You heard right, the Bojangler Fish Fillet Sandwich. A perfectly seasoned, light, flaky, wild-caught Alaskan pollock fish fillet sandwich. For limited time at participating Bojangles. Make it a combo and add Bojangles seasoned fries and legendary iced tea. Hungry for Bojangles but in the mood for something different? Then it's Bojangler time.
Tim Donnelly here for Zero Res. Right now, you can beat the spring cleaning rush with big savings and priority booking by calling our cleaning heroes at Zero Res. This month, get 3 rooms Zero Resified starting at $119 and take 20% off your air duct cleaning as well. Book online anytime at ZeroResRaleigh.com. Just say you want the 99.9 The Fan special. Spell it backward or forward, it spells the same. Zero Res.
ZipRecruiter is the place. ZipRecruiter is the place for talented teachers, savvy software developers, and master mixologists. ZipRecruiter is the place where you meet all these people and more. That's because ZipRecruiter is the place for job seekers who are looking for new opportunities. In fact, ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day, so you can find the right candidates right away. It's no wonder that ZipRecruiter is the place for skilled skydiving instructors, accomplished airbrush artists, and proficient pediatricians. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter to hire, you're missing out. ZipRecruiter is the place that's so confident it can make your hiring easier that it lets you try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. So if you want the right candidates for all your roles, ZipRecruiter is the place to go. Try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to RitchieLaw.com.
That's RitchieLaw.com.
They score! WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on the radio, Instagram, TikTok, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
I'm WRL meteorologist Amy Wilmoth. On this weather alert day, we've had some rough weather move through the area. Things settle down late this afternoon and early this evening. We'll still have breezy conditions overnight tonight, though. We'll have partly cloudy skies with a low of 43. And then partly to mostly cloudy Thursday, still breezy with a high of 55.
Weather update brought to you by Newcomb & Company, where your comfort is their business. Visit newcombandcompany.com. 5 o'clock check of your money. Dow Jones at the closing bell up 485 points to 43,006. Market update brought to you by Enbridge Gas, formerly Dominion Energy North Carolina Gas. Dominion Energy North Carolina Gas customers are now proudly served by Enbridge Gas. Looking forward to a bright future together. To learn more, visit enbridgegas.com.
It's 5 o'clock. Time to serve up the biggest sports stories of the day. Here comes your starting 5.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. It is time for the starting 5, and as always, starting 5 starts with number 5.
Count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Taylor 10 on the ticker. Leaves it left for McNeil. Rise, fire, 3. Yes, sir! Left wing, Paul McNeil, 5-0.
I misspoke before the break. It is not NC State at Pitt. It is Pitt at NC State tonight, men's basketball. And the reason why that matters is because it's senior night.
Senior night.
They have a host of seniors. They got a whole bunch of them. I wrote them down here so we don't forget any of them. Breon Pass, who we mentioned earlier, is just the second high school recruit to exhaust his eligibility under Kevin Keatts at NC State. So he has played his entire college basketball career under Kevin Keatts. Just the second player to do that at State. That's wild. That's, I guess, the way of the world, though, right? Transfer portal. But also, it is senior night for Ben Middlebrooks, Jaden Taylor, Michael O'Connell, Brandon Huntley-Hatfield, and Dontrez Styles. That is a hefty senior night. There'll be a lot of framed jerseys being passed out tonight. Lean into that. Lean into that. There's not a lot of like tangible, concrete stakes for this one. State's kind of already out of the ACC tournament run. I don't know if they're technically mathematically eliminated, but for all intents and purposes, I find it very unlikely they play in the ACC tournament.
Yeah, I don't think they are, like you said, technically out, but might as well
if
be.
any of these 4 teams win one more game, one of those situations. So just lean into senior night, man.
Honestly, it's your last chance to say thank you to the guys that were part of your Final Four run last year.
Exactly. I mean,
that's what it is. Make it all about hey, thank you guys for that great moment you brought us a year ago.
Did Michael O'Connell make a shot or something that you might want to thank him for?
Replay that.
Did Ben Middlebrooks score 20-something points in the first round of the NCAA tournament, which got you going and got you started on that Final Four run?
Show the highlights.
Was Jaden Taylor the third leading scorer on a Final Four and ACC championship team?
He was.
There you go. Lean into that. It's a way. It's kind of cheating, right? You don't have to play well to get applause tonight. You know what I mean? If every timeout, right? Because think about how the last however many weeks have gone. Going into a timeout, if you're on an 0-for-6 run, right? The opposing team has hit 3 buckets, they've gotten into the paint, they've scored, and you haven't been able to convert on the offensive end. Going into that timeout, what do you hear? Best case scenario, crickets, right? Best case scenario, everybody's not saying anything. Worst case scenario, they're hurling insults and upset with you. Tonight, what should you do? Going into that timeout, as soon as the ref blows the whistle, put the old Michael O'Connell highlight tape up, a nice little thank you up on the Jumbotron. You'll get applause. You can artificially manufacture some applause. You haven't been there for a while. Lean into that. That's kind of what I'm getting at. PITT, they're PITT. People had high expectations for them. They won't make it to the tournament either, the NCAA tournament, lest they win the ACC tournament. So, maybe you'll catch them and get a win on senior night. That's number 5. Let's get to number 4.
1, 2, 3, 4, all together.
Chatfield will knock this down. Now it's defenseman on defenseman here, and Chatfield will come up with a better of the play, centering it out in front to the back, and they score! Jordan Martinook with a great assist from Jalen Chatfield, and Martinook has put Carolina up 1-0.
That's a highlight from last night's win for the Canes. We'll get to that game in a couple of minutes. Right now we're focusing on NHL trade deadline on Friday. And I think there's a competition out there. I think there's a American Idol style reality competition nationally. It's not even just locally, nationally. And the winner will be whoever comes up with the most ridiculous Mikko Rantanen trade. It's can you find America's next ridiculous trade aggregator, something like that. I don't know what the name of the show is. Here's my official stance on the Mikko Rantanen debate. Should you trade him to get something back rather than risk him leaving in free agency and you get nothing in return? Here's my official stance. Keep him. There you go. That's it.
There it is.
That's it.
There it is.
And the reasoning behind it is there was a report today from ESPN that Rantanen has not shut the door on re-signing with the Carolina Hurricanes. He has not called up Eric Tulsky and said, I'm not re-signing here. And as long as he hasn't done that, and by the way, said it believably, like if he meekly said it, I might even go, you might not know it yet, but I'm going to get you. I'm going to turn you around. I'll convince you. If he hasn't said it fully with his chest, I'm not signing here, I'm not trading him. That's how it works. And then I'm taking the next 3 months or however long it takes before that, right? It doesn't have to take the full 3 months. And doing everything I can to convince him to take my $105 million or whatever my top deal is. Who would have thought it'd be this difficult to have somebody take $100 million from you? Shouldn't be that tough. No, I'm kidding. It's a different world they live in. But I'm serious with this. If you traded for him with even the possibility that you would give up on it this quickly, I don't think you did enough prep work in the trade. Right? The trade had to come with some acknowledgement that you were aware of his priorities and you felt you could check off his list of needs and get him to stay with the Carolina Hurricanes. And I'm not bailing yet. I'm all in, 10 toes down, all the phrases you want to say. Now, interestingly enough, that doesn't mean you have to stay quiet at the deadline. Matter of fact, here's how, because as soon as Mikko Rantanen, even there's a hint, even if there's just a waft of odor of you might trade Mikko Rantanen, you're going to get calls all the way up until Friday. Here's how I handle it if I'm Eric Tulsky. Are you calling about Mikko? Yeah, no, we're not trading him. No, we think we're going to re-sign him. We're really excited about the possibilities. But while I have you on the phone, what are you doing with that third line center that he just doesn't fit with you?
Yeah, what's available?
So you're not doing anything this year. No offense, you know it, but your goalie might. That's how I would use it. You don't have to initiate any calls. But while I have you on the line, while you're here, so you're looking for a winger, huh? Well, we got maybe a draft pick where you could draft that winger, and all you need to give us is a center. How about that? I don't know. Worth a try, right? They're calling about Mikko. They can't be insulted by anything you throw back at them because it's no. You think we would trade him? You called about a top 10 player in the league. As long as I'm not asking for McDavid, what I'm doing is less insulting than what you did.
By the way, if a team comes up offering you picks and prospects for Mikko Rantanen, this is what the phone call should sound like.
I would play dumb.
That's it.
I would play dumb. I would go. You said you want picks and prospects?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, hey, we we're open to talks. We've got some picks and prospects. What are you looking for? Mm-hmm. Just play dumb. Like. I think the Canes, there's some tweaking that could happen. I'm not doing anything too crazy. That's number 4. And by the way, we will talk about the Mikko deal all the way up until the deadline because it is a thing. Mm-hmm. But I don't anticipate my stance changing. I don't anticipate me advocating for a Mikko Rantanen trade unless we hear from him or his agent that the door is absolutely closed. And even then, I still think it might be a panic move to get out of there. That's number 4. Let's get to number 3.
First and 10 with the shotgun snap to Mahomes. Crumbling pocket hit. Ball charged free. It's loose. The Eagles trying to get it, and they have on a fumble by Mahomes. His 3rd turnover.
Joe Thuney, NC State product, offensive lineman, traded to the Bears from the Kansas City Chiefs. Joe Thuney is the definition. I think his career narrative is the definition of a great offensive lineman. Which is he's just in the background of so many massive wins. And because he's an offensive lineman, right, and his job is to make others look good, he probably will never get the credit he deserves. He was one of the offensive linemen blocking for Tom Brady, and you may have heard of him, as they won 2 Super Bowls in New England. And then he was one of the offensive linemen blocking for Patrick Mahomes, you probably heard of that guy as well, for 2 Super Bowls with the Kansas City Chiefs. He's been an All-Pro along the way. He's been a multiple-time Pro Bowler along the way. He probably has an argument to being the most consistently dependable guard at a high level in the NFL over the last 4 or 5 years. You could argue some other guys are as good, but they've also haven't been as available. He's traded to the Bears. That's fascinating. Ben Johnson just watched the rebuild of the Detroit Lions, right? He was the offensive coordinator for the Lions as they went from kind of also ran to now one of the hottest, trendiest teams in the league. He now goes to the Bears where he's trying to do a similar rebuild, and make no mistake about it, he immediately starts building from the trenches. The NFL is a copycat league, and I think the Panthers are doing it, right? Building up front with offensive linemen first. I believe this offseason will be a lot about defensive linemen. You saw the Philadelphia Eagles spent a whole bunch of money on the most dominant offense and defensive lines pretty much in the league. They just won a Super Bowl. So now Ben Johnson, who is known as a like offensive wonderkin guru play designer, he doesn't show up and the first thing he does is like, I need to get my Amon-Ra St. Brown. First thing isn't I need to get my Sam Laporta. His first thing is like, let me just get a bunch of hog mollies. Let me get some of these dependable offensive linemen. He brings in Joe Thuney on a trade, which by the way, 4th round pick in 2026. Make that trade every single day of the week if you're the Bears.
Sure.
They bring in Jonah Jackson, a trade, another guard from the Rams. It's funny how, like there was a guy, I don't know if I've referenced him. It's one of my favorite guys to reference. He was the father of my fullback. He's the dad of my fullback in high school. I'm going to do my impression of him in the stands every high school football game I played at the varsity level. He was the guy, you can probably imagine him. He had a mustache. He stood in the back of the absolute back row of our high school stand, so like back against the back bars, I'm talking about in the metal bleachers. And you could hear him on the field. He would just go, "Run the dang ball!" And then we'd run a play. Could be a pass, could be a run. As coach is signaling in the next play, "Run the dang ball!" And it just happened every single play. It was just what he did. I oftentimes, especially as a quarterback, was going like, or we could throw it, right? I like to sling it around a little bit. I'm trying to play in college. I need to highlight tape too. But the amount of accuracy that guys like that have when it comes to building a football team, the trenches, you got to be able to run the ball. You got to be able to pick up first downs. You need to be able to pick up short yardage situations. When you have the lead, you need to be able to bleed the clock. Build up front. Joe Thuney is pretty darn good at it. Joe Thuney, like I said, Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes are going to get all the love. He iced away a lot of their wins. Open up holes, pulling guard, blocking for the run game. And now he's going to try to do it for Caleb Williams. And he's probably a future Hall of Famer. That's number 3. Let's get to number 2.
Just the two. Rex Steiner, oh my goodness, erased at the rim by Trimble. Just spiked the layup attempt. Here comes Carolina the other way. Trimble trying to do it on the other side, hangs and finishes.
UNC men's basketball smacked around Virginia Tech last night.
Yeah, they did.
Won by 32. There's 2 angles to this. One is the game. You watch it, huge game for Seth Trimble and Ian Jackson off the bench. Double-double for Van Allen Lubin. Important. Efficiency offensively for RJ Davis. Drake Powell, 6'6", super athlete, went 3 of 4 from 3. Like, there's the actual individual good that game can do for UNC. And Hubert Davis, their coach, talked about the quality looks they were able to scheme and execute from the 3.
I told the guys this is the reason why I think we're shooting well is because we're generating good threes. Yeah, we're working offensively inside and out. And so we're attacking the paint, trying to dominate points in the paint through post-penetration offensive rebounds. And when you do that, that leads to good threes, open threes. And I just have always felt like if we could generate good threes, we'll make them. We made a lot of them tonight.
That's good. That's an X's and O's thing they can build off of. That's one angle. The game. The second angle is the bigger picture stuff. UNC, starting 6 games ago, they've been playing like a different team. They've been playing like a better team. Hubert Davis talked about the turnaround that started actually with the loss 7 games ago to Clemson.
I mean, I don't think it's any secret. We're playing well and we're playing our best basketball right now. And, since, Clemson, when we went up to Syracuse, something has changed in us, just the attention to detail. I just think we're more consistent at doing the little things. Obviously, no one's perfect, no team is perfect, no coach is perfect, but I think we're building really good habits and doing those little things consistently well that's allowing us to be successful. And we just have a lot of guys settled into their role and playing well at the same time. And that puts a smile on my face.
You could hear the smile. You could hear the smile on his face. People in radio tell you Even if you're not talking in a visual medium, you're not on a YouTube live stream, to smile when you talk because people can tell. You know, like when you're recording commercials and stuff, like, hey, smile, because your energy is up. You could tell Hubert Davis was smiling as he said that. I guess I should have said there's a third angle here. The third angle is now you play Duke. Now you play Duke, and there's just more on the line now. The last 6 games, the win streak that UNC is on, that's the cover charge. You've now paid your cover charge with 6 consecutive wins to get to go play Duke with more on the line. You win, I think they get in the NCAA tournament. It's a tall task. But if you lose, 2 of your last 6, if you lose 3 of your last 6, even if you beat Duke, you don't get in. You've now done that, so this matters more. And it's Duke, the history and everything else, the pomp and circumstance that comes with it. But that's the 3 angles to look at that game for UNC last night. They did what they had to do. They overcame the trap game nature of the going to Virginia Tech. They won by a bunch. And now they get to face Duke, which, by the way, I think this is a good way to establish how they're facing a different beast in ACC play in their regular season finale.
Go on.
UNC smoked Virginia Tech. They won by 32. Duke has won each of their last 4 games by at least 33.
Yeah.
So you can look at UNC and go, goodness gracious, that was great. You guys are playing your best ball. Oh my goodness, you beat that team by 32. The worst of their last 4 games for Duke has been a 33-point win. So you're going to have to step up even another level from how you've been playing, even if you're playing your best basketball, if you're going to beat your rival and punch your ticket to the NCAA tournament. That's number 2. Let's get to number 1.
Go one! Now Stahl with a stuff chance on the steal and scores! Oh, the captain takes advantage of a misplay from Alex Lyon, and it's 2-0 Carolina.
Carolina got a big win over Detroit last night, 2-1. They held on at the end. And for more breakdown of how and why and who were the main characters in that one, here's 2 minutes of gold with our very own Adam Gold.
Hey, it's Adam Gold, and I've got 2 minutes for 2 points and 2 goals that came about 2 minutes apart as the Hurricanes beat the Detroit Red Wings 2-1. And all of this is brought to you by Parkway Sleep Health Centers. Discover why so many trust Parkway Sleep Health Centers for better sleep. And we're going to talk about sleep in a minute. But first, Hurricanes put a defensive clinic on in Detroit. Needed all of the first period to get it going, but then Jalen Chatfield digs the puck out off the left half wall, feeds Jordan Martinook in front, and this started the 2.5-minute sequence that really was the difference in the game.
Chatfield will knock this down. Now it's defenseman on defenseman here, and Chatfield will come up with a better of the play, centering it out front to the back, and they score! Jordan Martinook with a great assist from Jalen Chatfield, and Martinook has put Carolina up 1-0. Now Stahl with a stuff chance on the steal and scores! Oh, the captain takes advantage of a misplay from Alex Lyon, and it's 2-0 Carolina.
Jordan Stahl's 12th goal of the season. Was it a gift? Sure. Will we take it? I ain't complaining. And you know what? Sometimes 2 goals is enough, especially when you have the wizard himself, Jacob Slavin, on the back end. I don't know how many times Jacob Slavin used his stick to completely eliminate scoring opportunities. He had 2 knockaways on a 3-on-2 opportunity for the Red Wings on the same 3-on-2. He knocked the puck away once and then stole it and went the other way another time. But this one right here in a 2-1 game with one of the more dangerous Red Wings on the ice, Alex DeBrincat, who has had Carolina's number in his career. And Slavin says, nope, I got this.
Blake keeps it moving. Hall has that pass deflected away. Anticipation there by Patrick King. Looking at to DeBrincat, and DeBrincat has it knocked away by Jacob Slavin. If you need him, that's Jacob Slavin, everyone.
And when you've got Jacob Slavin, you can rock the baby to sleep. More sleep conversation, how about that? But the captains were good. Stahl and Martinook, both good. Slavin, otherworldly. Actually, he was just normal. Just Jacob Slavin. And Frederik Andersen, after Pyotr Kochetkov had to play about 10 great minutes in the win over Calgary, Anderson, especially in the first period and a few times in the second, really came up with it when he had to have it. Carolina got good goaltending performances from him tonight and Kochetkov against Calgary on Sunday, and that's how you win a couple of games, by a 2-1 margin. So with the Blue Jackets losing in Tampa, the Hurricanes ended up getting a little bit further away from that wild card pack. You want to stay ahead of the Devils, but you really want to stay out of that wild card spot so you don't have to deal with the Capitals or, heaven forbid, Florida, because I think they're going to win the division on the other side. Visit ParkwaySleep.com and start your journey to a healthier night's sleep. Parkway Sleep Health Centers. Sound sleep, sound health, sound the Jacob Slavin alarm.
That's 2 minutes of gold with Adam Gold, breaking down last night's 2-1 victory for the Canes. A little bit of news here, because he did say, you want to stay ahead of the Devils in the standings. Jack Hughes underwent shoulder surgery today. This directly from the Devils on Twitter. Underwent shoulder surgery earlier today and will be placed on long-term IR. So he's done for the year. Expected to make a full recovery, but that does change the prospects of what the Devils' at least ceiling is this year when you're judging those divisional standings.
When you lose one of your best players, it changes the math a little bit.
It does. It just as much as coaches go, next man up. It's like, well, the next man's not as good as that man. So how are we going to make this work, coach? Darren Dreger, by the way, just more kind of hockey news, TSN's Hockey Insider. Carolina, comes from him at 4:19, so an hour ago. Carolina basically canvassed the league this week, gauging level of interest in Mikko Rantanen. Do you know what I think is interesting on this? Okay, because I said it earlier, we're going to talk the Mikko stuff because people are talking the Mikko stuff. Canvassed, I think, is a word that is doing a lot of work there. We know Eric Tolsky is involved in every discussion. He's told us. Like, if there's somebody available out there, we're calling, we're checking the price, we're calling, we're involved, we're in the mix. I think that could be seen as canvassing the league, gauging the interest of Mikko Rantanen, when it's really just canvassing the league because every single day, every single week, I'm canvassing the league. He has full authority to be in every conversation, and I expect him to be. I find it hard to believe that you trade for Mikko Rantanen and then 3 weeks of games later, well, let's send him out of it. I just find it hard it's a long way to travel from, hey, we just brought in a guy who we hope to make a legend in our jersey, in our sweater, and then a month later you're all the way out. Tell me what I can get. Is there anything? Can I get? Please give me something for this top 10 player in the league. I find it difficult. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. I also know it could be difficult to win the numbers game, but it's worth it when there's Lumineers tickets on the line and the glory of being a numbers game champion. So we will grab some numbers game contestants, but first, Dennis Cox has something to tell you.
Dennis Cox here for my friends over at Loan Pronto. Folks, don't go through another year with all that high interest debt. Let Loan Pronto wipe it all out now. Loan Pronto's rapid equity loan makes it easy to pay off all your credit cards or tackle that 2025 home improvement project. Get cash in your pocket fast. No appraisals, no paperwork, no waiting. Loan Pronto's AI-driven tech gets you approved and funded in as little as 1 day. One client got $150,000 approved in under 24 hours, paid off all their credit cards, 2 cars, and a personal loan, saving over $1,500 per month. With low fixed rates and lightning fast transfers, you can do it too. Consolidate debt, improve your home, take control of your finances. Imagine being credit card debt-free by this time next week. Don't wait. Call Loan Pronto now. 919-381-1760 or visit loanpronto.com. Get your free rate quote now with no hard credit pull. 919-381-1760, loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan, needs numbers game contestants. The prize for today, as I mentioned, Lumineers tickets. They're coming to Coastal Credit Union Music Park this September. If you want to win the tickets, if you want to win the numbers game, you have to call in now. The number to call, 919-860-5326. Once again, 919-860-5326. We need 2 contestants. Call in now. Numbers game next.
Do you ever go to the Carolina Hurricanes games and find yourself thinking, what do the players eat before the game? What are their pregame rituals? What kind of music gets them pumped up ahead of the game? How sacred is the game day nap? What's the post-game mood on the team plane? Check out my new podcast, Iced Tea, with me, Megan LaMontagne. I get to talk to people who spill the tea on the Carolina Hurricanes. Listen to Iced Tea in any podcast app or watch the show on the Fan YouTube channel.
Soundstation and Security, your automotive and audio experts. Car audio, car video, home theater, wheels and tires, and so much more. Plus, did you know Soundstation and Security offers full service for your vehicle? Alignments, inspection, oil changes, window tinting, and custom exhaust. And with a variety of financing options, Soundstation and Security can help you get what you need today. 2 locations, downtown Smithfield and on Glenwood Avenue in Raleigh. Soundstation and Security. Visit myhotsound.com.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin. $5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $200-$300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code SALE to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code SALE for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code SALE for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Adam Golden Studio with my man Patrick Day from the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. When I say everything for the exterior of your home, I mean it. So tell me everything that you have for the exterior of my home.
There's so many things I can't even remember the entire list. You know,
Good
it's
luck.
like thanks for the test here. But windows, doors, siding, roofing, gutters, gutter guards, railings, you name it. We have the exterior home improvement you're looking for. The main thing is we're a one-stop shop, right? So you don't have to call 2 or 3 different contractors if you need your roof done and you need your windows done. You can call one company and have it all done.
I like that. French doors.
French doors.
I like French doors. I can't speak French, but I like French doors. Can I tell you, back in the day, you guys did French doors and every window in a home I used to own.
Well, thank you for your business.
It was incredible. Can I also tell you that it was done in like 2 days? Is that even possible?
It is possible.
How do you guys do work that fast?
We're good.
You're fast.
Good.
That's Patrick Day from the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. They do the best work in the industry and the best customer service in the industry as well. AluminumCompany.com.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. It is time to play the numbers game. We have Lumineer tickets going to the winner, the contestants, Edward and Wendell, and Casey in Wake Forest. As always, we have to ask a question. Dennis will pick his favorite answer. That person will get to go first. We'll start with Edward and Wendell. Edward, are you there?
Yes.
All right, Edward. The question is, I don't know if you've been aware, but our company here has put out a new podcast, Ice-T, hosted by our colleague Megan. And I believe the most recent episode is with the Carolina Hurricanes team chef. So the question is, if you were a professional athlete and you had a chef that would make you any pregame meal, so it's something that you got to be able to use as fuel, got to not mess up your stomach, get you ready for a game, what's your pregame meal?
My pregame meal, I think, would be a half of a T-bone steak and a little bit of water. That's it.
Protein. Love it, Edward. I also love the thought you put into that one. Stay on the line. We'll see if your answer gets picked. Half a T-bone and water. We go to Casey in Wake Forest. Casey, you are up next. Same question to you, inspired by the most recent episode of the Ice-T Pod. What would be your pregame meal if you were a professional athlete and you had a chef that would, make it to order?
Well, I don't know if I can be Edward here. I'm going to go with
Spaghetti and meatballs, carb load, I guess.
All right. There's some good thought that went into that as well. Dennis, your options are Edward with a half a T-bone and water, or Casey with spaghetti and meatballs.
Spaghetti and meatballs and half T-bone steak and water. You know what? I'm gonna give this one to Edward.
Okay.
He's factoring in the hydration.
Through the water
Hydration is needed, folks, and clearly he's just powerlifting. That's all he's doing. He doesn't need to carb load. I'm just straight lifting weights. Steaks and weights for Edward. That's all he cares about.
Parks himself on the left wing. He doesn't need to move.
Exactly.
Give me the puck.
I'm right in front of the net. I'm just here to deflect shots.
There you go. Edward, you get to go first. Casey, take your time. You'll have your chance, but you just got to wait on hold a little bit. Edward, are you ready to pick a category?
Yes.
All right. The categories are NFL players, first name that begin with the letter S but are not Steves. There's no Steves there. NFL players that went to Florida State or Clemson. They're in the news recently. NBA players that have a hyphen in their name, or NHL Hurricanes only.
Hurricanes.
All right. We'll go Hurricanes only with it. I will give you the team and the player. Give me the jersey number as quickly as you can. I will say the team, even though we know it in this category, to keep the timing fair with the other categories. There will be 30 seconds on the clock. You have one pass if you need it. Do you have any questions before we get started?
No.
All right. Your time will start when you hear the horn. Jackson Blake, Carolina Hurricanes.
13.
Incorrect. Jesperi Kotkaniemi, Carolina Hurricanes.
82.
Correct. Jake Bean, Carolina Hurricanes.
54.
Incorrect. Jackson Blake, Carolina Hurricanes.
74.
Incorrect. Jake Bean, Carolina Hurricanes.
Pass.
Jeff O'Neill, Carolina Hurricanes.
76.
Incorrect. Jackson Blake, Carolina Hurricanes.
23.
Incorrect. Jake Bean, Carolina Hurricanes.
32.
Incorrect. Jeff O'Neill, Carolina. Luckily, you got Jesperi Kotkaniemi. You avoided the shutout. Very well done. Jackson Blake, 53. So you had the 3 right out the gate. You were just 53 was the number we were looking for. Jake Bean, number 24. I think it's always tough when like a number becomes associated so much with a current player. Then we give you a former player that wore that number. So you may have been thinking Jarvis there. Jeff O'Neill, we would have accepted 19 or 92. But as I mentioned, you did get the 1. You got Kotkaniemi, so stay on the line. We'll see if it holds up. Casey and Wake Forest, you're up next. Are you ready to roll?
Yep.
All right, the categories remaining for you to choose from are NFL players whose first name begin with the letter S, but their name is not Steve. NFL players that went to Florida State or Clemson, or NBA players, all hyphen team, players with a hyphen in their name.
I think as a Florida State fan, I got to go with the Florida State category.
You know what? I don't know if I like that you're a Florida State fan. I appreciate you for listening. I'm kidding. But we do have Florida State and Clemson players that went on to play in the NFL as the category. I'll give you the team and the player. Give me the jersey number as quickly as you can. 30 seconds on the clock. 1 pass if you need it. You need 2 for the win, but go for the perfect score. Any questions before we get started?
Nope.
All right. Your time will start when you hear the horn. Deshaun Watson, Cleveland Browns.
4.
Correct. Jared Verse, Los Angeles Rams.
8.
Correct. Hunter Renfrow, Las Vegas Raiders.
13.
Correct. Kelvin Benjamin, Carolina Panthers.
13.
Correct. Ray McLeod, Atlanta Falcons.
34.
Correct. Perfect score. And that was fast.
18 seconds for
18
Casey.
seconds. Not quite an all-time record, but pretty darn impressive. I think you hesitated just a bit because the numbers were 13 and 13, which is like, you ever get a multiple choice test and you get like 4 C's in a row and you're just like, well, one of these has to be wrong. I think you hesitated just a little bit, but still perfect score. Flew through it. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Did Ray McLeod get you at all? Because every time I see him, number 34, running wide receiver routes, I go, that's not right, but it is.
I almost said 84, and then I was like, I know he's a weird one. And I remember him, he was a running back at Clemson, and then now he's wide receiver. So that one did throw me for a little bit.
There you go. Either way, you got them all. There were no redos, 5 for 5. Congratulations. You get to see the Lumineers.
Thank you.
All right. Is it bad that I'm not as excited for him because he's a Florida State fan? Although I guess they're not actively. The reason why I think I built up this hate for Florida State is because they were actively trying to dismember the ACC while being a member of the ACC. At least now they're not actively trying to dismember the ACC, right? The lawsuit's been settled, so maybe I should reach out an olive branch to the Seminole fans out there. Although it still feels like they're just counting the days till they can leave. So I don't know. I'm undecided with my future feelings on the Florida State Seminoles and everything going on there. I'm just undecided. If you want to help me out, you can let us know in the YouTube comments. 99.9 The Fan on YouTube. While you're there, subscribe. Oh, we have hey Dennis. Is he listening, Max? Dennis, can you go up and fire the breaking news here for us? I'm just seeing this as we speak, so if somebody else had it first, I apologize. But Matt Norlander, CBS Sports senior writer, news: Miami and Duke associate head coach Jay Lucas have agreed to terms. Lucas, the assistant Duke basketball coach, will be the next head coach of the Miami Hurricanes. A formal announcement of the deal is expected on Thursday, that being tomorrow. Let me see. I'm going to quickly try to skim through this. He is obviously the son of John Lucas, well-known, highly respected person in basketball circles. Shire is a big fan, meaning the head coach is a big fan of Lucas. It is unclear, this is according to Matt Norlander, CBS Sports, when Lucas would officially move to his post in a full-time capacity, which becomes a massive part of this story because obviously Duke is trying to win a national championship.
Of course.
And Lucas is one of their most important assistant coaches. But Norlander is reporting that he will be the next coach of the Miami Hurricanes.
Okay. We heard that link a couple weeks ago, and I'll be shocked.
The news being that an official announcement is expected tomorrow, and then it becomes when does he make that move? Because right now, if you're a Duke basketball fan, you're just hoping that nothing pops up that can derail this track that you're on. If you look at all the advanced statistics, Duke's one of the overwhelming favorites to raise the trophy at the end of the season, the one everybody's chasing. And losing one of your assistants, that's an interesting hurdle in the middle of the season.
My assumption is that Jay Lucas and John Shire have already had these discussions about what it's going to look like, all those kinds of things. I think everyone is fully aware of what their roles are going to be moving forward.
I agree. It's just there's no way to know 100%. It's hard to stick. Is he going to stick around and be an assistant coach while also being the coach in waiting somewhere else? Because then it's negligent to your future job not to be perusing the portal and doing everything you need to do for Miami.
Yeah.
But also if you bounce, it probably feels like you're not fulfilling some form of commitment you made to Duke. It is a rock and a hard place if this decision is made and announced before the end of the season.
Yeah, you want to see it all the way through.
And also you probably want to, chase a national championship.
There's that too.
You see this in the NFL all the time when coordinators start. Kellen Moore, right, was able to stick around and be the offensive coordinator for the Eagles, win a championship when everybody assumed he was going to be the next head coach of the Saints, and he is. So we'll see how Duke handles that. But it's things that make you go Unbelievable recruiter, by the way.
Yeah,
very good dude. It's good for the ACC as a whole that I think Luke is taking over Miami. I also saw, I think, the Utah job. Chris Carrawell, another Duke assistant in the mix for that one. So there's, the crime of being really good is your staff gets picked over. The Drive, Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Before we move on, here is Dennis Cox with something for you.
Hey, folks, Dennis Cox here for my friends over at ESPN Bet Sportsbook. We all know college basketball is full go right now, and fans are ready to see which teams will prove they are ready to shine in March and who will be seen in San Antonio. You can get in on all the action from tip-off to the final whistle at ESPN Bet Sportsbook. Right now, new ESPN Bet Sportsbook customers can bet $10 to get $100 in bonus bets and unlock 30 days of ESPN Plus. Download the app and sign up with the promo code Radio100 to get started today. Must be 21 plus. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
By the way, Brendan Marks, as I perused Twitter while Dennis was making that read, he has confirmed that Lucas is going to be named the next coach of Miami. So it's the news is out there now, and Duke will have to find a way to navigate that. Just an unusual situation. We'll take a break when we come back. State, Pitt tonight. In addition to Senior Day, is there something else that the NC State Wolfpack are playing for? I'll tell you next.
Which of us, detective, do you suspect is the millionaire? The evidence is everywhere. Your diamond necklace, Monty's new yacht, and the butler's new convertible. Admit it, you're all Maximilian scratch-off winners.
Of course we are. With 25 prizes of $1 million, you could be too.
New Maximilian from the North Carolina Education Lottery. Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds of winning are 1 in 2.95. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
Joint pain in your knees, shoulders, or lower back. It can stop you in your tracks. At DaVita Med Spa and Wellness, we offer a revolutionary course of treatment that can eliminate your joint pain and have you back to your old self in no time. Our regenerative therapies actually help repair damaged tissue to eliminate the pain without risky, invasive surgery. If you suffer with joint pain and have been told your only options are medications, steroid injections, or surgery, DaVita Med Spa and Wellness offers non-surgical solutions using your body's own cells with minimal downtime and long-lasting results. Experience personalized, compassionate medical care at its best. Call our office now and see how you can get real, long-lasting relief from joint pain through regenerative medicine and the medical experts at DaVita Med Spa and Wellness. Spelled D-V-I-D-A. Call 984-333-1313. That's 984-333-1313. 984-333-1313.
ZipRecruiter is the place. ZipRecruiter is the place for talented teachers, savvy software developers, and master mixologists. ZipRecruiter is the place where you meet all these people and more. That's because ZipRecruiter is the place for job seekers who are looking for new opportunities. In fact, ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day, so you can find the right candidates right away. It's no wonder that ZipRecruiter is the place for skilled skydiving instructors, accomplished airbrush artists, and proficient pediatricians. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter to hire, you're missing out. ZipRecruiter is the place that's so confident it can make your hiring easier that it lets you try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. So if you want the right candidates for all your roles, ZipRecruiter is the place to go. Try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
Beat the spring cleaning rush and call our cleaning heroes at Zero Res. This month, get 3 rooms, Zero Resified, starting at $119 and take $20 off your air duct cleaning. Book online anytime at ZeroResRaleigh.com and say you want the $99.9 The Fan special.
If you're 55 and up, T-Mobile has plans built just for you. 2 lines of unlimited for just $30 a line. That's a 45% savings compared to Verizon and AT&T. But don't just take our word for it.
It's not just the savings that are great with our T-Mobile plan. There's all this value from all these other things that T-Mobile offers.
T-Mobile has been such a savings for us.
We love it. Switch today and get 2 free 5G phones like the Motorola Edge with Turbo Power charging that gives you power for the day in just 15 minutes. And customers 55 and up can get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for only $30 a line. Go to T-Mobile.com/choice55 to learn more. With AutoPay plus taxes and fees, plus $5 per line without AutoPay. Debit or bank account required. 45% off 2 lines versus AT&T Starter and Verizon Welcome. Plan benefits vary. Motorola Edge on us with 24 monthly bill credits and new line for well-qualified customers, plus tax and $35 per line connection charge. See details at T-Mobile.com. Motorola Edge requires 68-watt charger. Charger sold separately. Actual performance will vary based on usage and configuration.
This hour of the drive brought to you by Lufthansa. Lufthansa is excited to take off from Raleigh Durham International Airport, connecting you to destinations like Germany, Italy, India, and beyond. Say yes to incredible journeys. Book today at Lufthansa.com.
Drives down the right lane line, gets fouled, throws it up and in, count it with the horn. Styles into the lane at 7:09 to play. Mark it down as Styles has come alive.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Updating you on the news from before the break. Jay Lucas, assistant for Duke men's basketball, expected to be officially named the head coach of Miami tomorrow, the Miami Hurricanes. Jeff Borzello, who is a college basketball insider for ESPN, tweeted this out. Duke Associate head coach Jay Lucas has signed a deal to become the next head men's basketball coach at Miami, sources told ESPN. We've heard that from multiple different places. Expected to be announced Thursday. Still nothing new. Here's where it gets interesting. Lucas will leave Duke and join Miami after the conclusion of the regular season, sources told ESPN. Which means he's like, well, I'm going to stay around for that UNC game. That sounds like a fun one. And then I'll get out of here. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be fascinating to watch how they now. It's a unique situation as they chase ACC and national championships. It'll be fascinating. But Jay Lucas on the way out. I think it's good for the ACC. I think he's a good coach. He's a good recruiter. And Miami obviously cares about it. They come up with NIL money at a pretty good clip. The Drive of Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. From the top of the ACC conversation to maybe the bottom of the ACC conversation, NC State versus Pitt tonight. I'm going to be real. On the surface, not much on the line for NC State tonight. Bruh. It is senior day, senior night, so you want to send those guys out solid. You want to thank them, especially for the run that many of them participated in last year. I do believe that, senior night is something that matters, and these guys will remember it, so you want it to be a good one. But also, I think these last two games do kind of help tell the story of this season. And it's very much not a win or lose, but it is a neutral or lose. Right? Like, I was gonna hit you with this, right? Ask Sam Darnold if the last two games of a season matter when it comes to how people look at your season, right? Because Sam Darnold with Minnesota last year with the Vikings was knocking on the door of an MVP, and then his last two games were not great, and everybody completely turned, and now he might be going back to Minnesota. Who knows? Rather than signing a $150 million free agency deal. But that's not exactly the best deal reference either, because if Sam Darnold would have played great in those games, there was something to gain. I don't think there's really something to gain for him. Like, if they smoke Pitt tonight, I don't think everyone looks around and goes, oh, that season actually wasn't a failure. Oh, that season wasn't a disappointment because you smoked Pitt. Now it's a good season. Like, that's not there. So I don't think State can save their season. But I'll add this. It can always get worse. Right? I always make the analogy that in a movie or a cartoon, the moment you say, at least it can't get worse, it starts raining. It can always get worse. 2 games left for kind of I don't want to say a closing statement, but for avoiding just an absolute debacle of an ending. And in a lot of ways, you're playing for your coach. Kevin Keatts, I don't need to be the only, I don't need to remind many of NC State fans, there are people that aren't super stoked with the way this season has gone, and they're placing quite a bit of blame on your head coach's desk. If you get smoked by Pitt and you don't show signs of life, I think it builds. It builds. The negativity breeds more negativity. The disappointment breeds more disappointment. So there's play for your seniors is always something on senior day. Play for your coach is something on this senior day also, right? Just don't make it worse. I'm not saying it can get better, but it can get worse. Right? I'm not saying that your season will be saved and you'll make the ACC tournament because I don't know the math on that, and I don't think there's much of a chance there. But I guarantee you, if you get beat by 20 in these last 2 games, the pressure will mount, and there will be little that anybody can say. So there is something on the line. It's just not the stuff you wish was on the line when you're playing your last 2 games of your season. It's your last chance at home. It's your last game in the Lenovo Center. It's the last. And you know what? Actually, maybe there's some weird closure because, if you're going into the postseason, it's always funny. And actually, who was it? It was Hahn, the voice of the Wolfpack last year.
Gary Hahn.
Gary Hahn. We talked to him during the run, and he knew he had already announced that was going to be his last year. So the entire run, he had like the little, folded up note card with who he wanted to thank if it was his last game as the voice of the Wolfpack. And he started with the first game of the ACC tournament, and he had to keep leaving it in his pocket as they won their first, their second, their third, their fourth, their 5th game in the ACC tournament. Then their first, their second, their third in the NCAA tournament. The seniors for State kind of know it's my last home game. Next game is going to be my last game. So you get weird closure there. It's a different way to go about it, right? And I've like I oftentimes reference my college football career. We did not make the playoffs my senior year, so we knew going into our final game, this is it. Last time you're going to put the pads on, right? There's not a burgeoning overseas market for football players, so it's not even like, hey, if you don't go to the pros, you can go make a bunch of money in Italy. Like there was none of that. We were just done. And I also, early in my career, we made the playoffs, had playoff games, had all of that, and we watched the seniors kind of go into every game not knowing whether they should get teary-eyed in pregame or not, not knowing if it was the last time they were going to put on their pads. So state, this means something to the seniors. I think it means something to your coach. So seniors, play for your final memory in a Lenovo Center game. Everybody else, play for your seniors and play for your coach.
I will say as well, if you're a fan of NC State, this is a chance for your last chance to say again, thank you for the seniors. Hey, thank you for what you did for us last year. Thank you for the moments and the memories, whether it was going to the bell tower or, gosh, I mean, how many
ice cream?
Well, yes, but how many times did we have people call into this show that are basically our age saying like, man, it was so fun to share that with my dad.
Yep.
Because my dad was a fan back in the day, and he never got to experience that, and I got to share that with him. So, that's, again, this is your opportunity to thank them for allowing you to have that experience.
If you enjoyed the run last year, say thank you, right? And by the way, if you're there, cheer, right? I very much dislike when senior games turn into angry and bitter. You'll have your time to complain if you want to complain. You'll have your time to voice your displeasure about, coaches or front office or whatever structures that need to be put in place. Senior day, win, lose, or draw, I think it's fairly obvious that the athletes put their all on the line. And this goes for every team because it's also, right, it's going to be UNC senior day against Duke. Like I'm always in favor of letting the athletes that, dedicate way more time than fans do to the team, giving them their flowers on the way out. It always frustrates me when fans are like, it seems like we care more than the players. I'm like, it's impossible. You have no idea how much effort goes into being a college athlete. I understand you care about the team, but I'll be players first, players always in that argument. Lead players' rights activist over here. Give me a hat. Buttons. We'll campaign. And then the last thing, if you want to be selfish, every game down here, if you do have eligibility, it's an audition. If you want to hit the portal, if you want NIL money, play well. That's if you want to take all that virtuous stuff I said about play for others and just play for yourself. Hey, modern college basketball. Portal, if you're going to go into it, you're going to want good tape. You got 2 more games to put together a highlight film. Go dunk on somebody. Hit you from both sides. The heartstrings and then just the cold hard cash. Play hard today. And Pitt's in town. I don't know. They're a middle-of-the-pack ACC team. If you were a middle-of-the-pack ACC team 10 years ago, that meant you were like a 4 seed in the NCAA tournament. This year, you're just out, which is a bummer. We have coming up on Overdrive some really cool conversations. One, UNC basketball reacting to the win last night, and Andrea Adelson, the ACC reporter for ESPN, joined the show earlier today for an interview to break down the ins and outs of the ACC versus Clemson, Florida State lawsuit settlements. And she brought a lot of really, really good information to help everybody understand it more. So that's coming up in Overdrive. If you miss it on Overdrive, it's on our YouTube page. While you're there, subscribe, 99.9 The Fan. We'll be back tomorrow to break down everything going on. There's a Canes game tomorrow, so have your first goal score predictions ready. I'm forgetting something, but I don't know what it is, so I'll try to remind you tomorrow.
We have a Feedback Frenzy tomorrow, too.
Feedback Frenzy tomorrow. Comment on YouTube. You might hear your comments right here on the show. Until then, have a great night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.
The Adam Gold Show.
3-5-1. They have scored 22 goals since the trade. 7 of them came in one game against Utah.
There is that.
4 of them came against the Rangers. You know who didn't play in the 7-goal game? Mikko Rantanen. They scored 11 goals combined in the other 7 games. They are 1-5-1 in those 7.
The Adam Gold Show, weekdays starting at noon on 99.9 The Fan.
This is Gordon Miller from Miller Lending and Carey. Way back in the mid to late 80s, rates were all over the map, much as they are today. And what bothered me the most was seeing homeowners constantly chasing lower rates by paying upwards of $15,000 in closing costs each time. There had to be a better way, considering no one was keeping their new loan long enough to truly benefit. So it was during that time that Miller Lending discovered a way to offer a true no closing cost loan. With nothing charged or rolled in, customers were now able to realize immediate savings, as even a drop of 0.5% could save them thousands of dollars over the life of a new loan. Imagine eliminating the need for timing as you simply close on today's rates and refinance as soon as something better comes along. Fact is, Miller Lending hates closing costs. So before you throw away thousands of dollars chasing a rate